Kin and Capital. Kin and Capital. Kin and Capital.
Hey, and we're back. Thank you for everyone joining us today. Welcome to the Kin and Capital podcast. I'm your host, Mike. Supporting me as usual are my brothers, Chris, Christian, and Alexis. Boys, how we feeling today?
I'm good.
Awesome. Same for me. In our first episode, we briefly covered who we are, where we've been, where we're going, and how we intend to get there. So in this episode, we are going to dive a little deeper into our backgrounds. But first, let's do a progress check on how the next day steps went for each of us. We each said we were going to do something specific. That would be a step in our growth. I guess I'll go first since I am posing the question. It went great. It got really difficult towards Friday, I'd say, but definitely made growth towards that and kept me stable the whole way. Chris, how was it for you?
Yeah, for my I know my next step was to kind of reach out and to some of the top leaders of my job, things like that, based off this program that they had. The program hasn't started yet.
Okay.
So I at least did make the attempt to reach out.
There
and
you
see
go.
if it was, hey,
Yeah.
baby steps, right?
Exactly.
But I did connect with somebody who is serving as a mentor, who's somebody on my team, and have a meet and greet with him, introduce myself. We knew of each other, but we didn't really have that meet and greet to kind of talk about, what mentorship means for my direct report. So that was the first step for me reaching out to him, right?
Awesome.
And kind of getting to know him. So.
All right, Christian, you're up next. How did your next day steps go, starting with Monday?
It went pretty good. I feel like every day this week I was met with a challenge, and I didn't let it get in the way of any of the projects that I've been working on. Still writing, still drawing, still moving forward with all the business projects that I'm doing, and I have more updates in the future.
Awesome. Alexis, last but not least.
Complete opposite of that. I went down in flames. Literally the next day I woke up, I felt terrible. I don't know what it was. I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't throw up, but I was definitely on the ground, on and out. Me and the wife still are adjusting with our schedule with a newborn, more or less. But I did make it a point to make sure I did something every single day.
Nice.
I didn't do what I wanted to do, like I said I was going to do, reach out to all those prospects. But I did shoot out some emails. I did reach out to 2 of them, 2 out of 30. And also editing this podcast, branding the podcast, and adjusting to the new workload. So I made some progress, just not what I told you I was going to do.
That's all that matters.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, definitely. As we said, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into our backgrounds. So first thing we kind of want to talk about is our families and kind of how that journey began and, where we are now. So, when it came to establishing a family, Christian was the first one out of us to do this. So what was your journey like? How did you meet your wife, and what plans did you make together as a couple, for your future?
Was that really the first one?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, dog. You were the first to get married, and you were the first to have kids.
I was. Well,
The youngest out of our area.
yeah. Long time ago. So I've been with me and Francis have been together for 15 years now. I don't know if I think I got that right. 15 years, but we've been married for 12. We weren't necessarily high school sweethearts. We didn't go to the same school. She went to a different school than me. I was still in school when we met. She was graduated. We actually met through mutual friends. Actually got stood up on a double date. So just me and her, and the other friends didn't show. And then from there, we just kept hanging out like every day, and
That might have been intentional.
it probably was.
Yeah, I'm actually, as he said that, I was like,
It probably was, yeah. So
okay.
but we kicked it off, and ever since it just been on the up and up, and had our twins in 2009. So started our family, and just been on the up and up since then. I'm sorry, not 2009, 2012. I'm tripping. That's when I graduated. 2009 is when I graduated. We had the boys in 2012. So been on the up and up ever since, and family's still growing. We got a daughter. We got one on the way as well. I think I mentioned that last time. Francis and I have actually been business partners a few times, worked on a couple things together, and we both have an entrepreneurial mindset. Still looking on ways to collab. She's a little down and out right now because she's having some pregnancy issues a little bit, but everything's going good outside of that.
So when you two, I guess let's say when you proposed, right? At that moment, or maybe a couple days later, were you guys thinking kind of like how the future, like how you wanted your futures to kind of go as far as like when it came to the family?
I'm gonna be honest. Back when we first got married, I had zero goals.
Yeah.
I was going day to day. The thing that started getting me to look into the future and look at goals and actually observe where I was going versus just taking every day step by step
Right.
was when I lost my job at the post office when I
there
was
we go.
21.
Yeah.
After that, I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Where am I really going? Because that was the most money I'd ever made, and I just lost it. And I was like, I also did not like the job at
Yeah.
all. So that got me looking in a different direction, and I started looking at different means of what can I do for myself. The vision wasn't really big, but I started looking at different things like what can I do for myself? How can I keep growing? What are good jobs that I can get into that pay high because I didn't have a college degree? And I actually started branching out, looking, not just chasing, oh, this job pays $1 more. Oh, that job pays $1 more. Oh, this, just minor incremental growth
Yeah.
opportunities at different jobs. I started looking for something bigger. So I don't think I really started coming up with a plan until I was maybe like 24, 25, around the time when the boys came in, because that was another perspective switch.
Exactly.
I started looking at something bigger when we got married, but then when the boys came, I'm like, okay, I really need to ramp it up and figure something out. But yeah.
So Alexis, you got the same kind of question. I'm gonna have to tailor this one a little bit for you because I kind of know. But like, how did you come across, you and your wife when you first started dating, and after you guys got married, did you guys make plans like, okay, we want this amount of kids, we want this kind of house, that kind of thing?
All right, I met Christina in front of GameStop. We were hanging out, me and the pack, and she just randomly came along one day, and I was just dancing. Apparently, she was like, "Ooh, look at him!" And started the initial attraction once I heard about her, and yeah, she's just been my best friend since then. Back in 2008, kicking it, hanging out. Just we moved in together. Uh, it's really just chilling, and kind of like what Dion said, I didn't really have a plan
Yeah.
back then. It was just kind of rolling, hanging out. Now she's older than me, so she's been more like future focused growing up. You know what I'm saying? I kind of
Closer.
adjust to that a little bit. She had the degree and the job and stuff, and I was like, no, I don't want to go to college because it doesn't make sense. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Kind of job hopping a little bit. That's back when I was dancing. I was going on tours and performing and doing odd photography jobs and stuff. Really just trying to figure myself out. So definitely back then she held me down a lot as I tried to figure myself out. She gave me space to do that, and that's kind of like what our energy is now. I'm returning that. She don't got to work no more.
Yeah.
Chill out. You did it.
That's kind of awesome that, because you don't always hear about, the spouse allowing that time to happen so you can figure things out. A lot of women would be gone, right? I'm not sticking around for this, right?
Nope.
And vice versa, right? Like some dudes are like, I ain't got time for this. But just seeing the potential and knowing that you could pull it out and then you end up doing it, like I think just is a testament to what people should really consider as a value instead of what they think should be right now. It's more about like what can be. If I'm seeing inclinations of this person, progressing and growing, why are you about to leave that and then you go get somebody else and then it's like, oh, he treats me like crap. Well,
I know like the exact moment too, like when my mind like kind of had a mindset shift. I had an opportunity to go on a tour in China.
Oh wow.
To like dance for like 6 months. It was well paid. I had like hotels lined up, different locations to dance at. They're gonna put me with some crew, like a makeshift crew of like 10, 15 people.
Yeah.
I told her about it. She was just like, no. And I was like, why? This sounds dope. She's like, you told me you didn't want to dance. That's not your end goal. So why are you doing it?
Right.
Well, we're trying to build something right here. And I heard her. I was like, you know what? That makes sense. And I didn't end up going.
It just made me think about this. Before I hit on you, big bro, I'm gonna ask you both an additional question. And that is, what was dating like before you got with your wife? You got the mic, so you gotta go first.
It was more so I felt like I was really more mature than a lot of women that I came across.
Right.
So I went for older.
Mhm.
I always hung out around older people. So a lot of women that, you know, I was entertaining, something just wasn't there. You know,
Mhm.
I'm just like, you don't seem too smart. I don't want to. I really,
Yeah.
Straight up, yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to deal with you and the mindset of all your friends, and I just don't. So when I met Tina,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh, you got your head on straight.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm already cool with your bro and your sis. You know what I'm saying? Like your family's dope, so I know you come from a good moral, background. Let's see where it goes. And
Did you have a type before Tina?
type as far as what? We get pain on
Like a
here, or-
sports girl or a nerd girl, bookworm or something like that, or
I like people who are just true to themselves, more or less.
okay,
If you like something, like it, own it. Don't feel like you have to act a certain way around me because I'm gonna be me, be
exactly.
you. You know what I'm saying? Like
Awesome.
if you read books, I'm gonna be right there. Like, so what books you reading? You like music? I'm gonna be like, hey, what music? I like to invest in people. Like this is how I am. So,
Invest in people.
Yeah.
You better quote that one. That's a good one.
I like it.
All right, Christian, let's hear your response to that.
So, question was,
So,
my dating
how was
life
dating
beforehand?
before you met your wife?
I didn't
And
date
then
much before
Did you
her.
have a type?
I didn't date much before her, but when I did, it was same thing. I dated older women. I was always known as having an old soul, and I when it came to relationships, I already knew what I wanted, and I didn't like wasting time. I didn't go into a relationship without the goal of marriage. I didn't like dating just to date, so wasting my time. And I also, when it comes to what my preferences are, I didn't necessarily have a type. I still have the mindset now, even in sales, that I don't beg and sell. I don't care about overcoming objections. I go for people that want what I have to offer. I approach my dating life the same way. If you don't want to spend time with me, if you don't want to be around me, if you have no interest in me, why am I wasting my time?
Man, where were you? I needed this. God. I needed this when I was trying to learn how to like get a girlfriend stuff because like boy,
Yeah.
I went through.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah, I could identify it quick when somebody wasn't into me. That's what I saw in Frances was she wanted to be around me every single day.
Yeah.
She loved everything about my character. She loved everything about who I was. So we both stuck around because of that. It wasn't a, can I see you today? Can I get around? Can I blah, blah? And you're always busy. People are going to make time for what they value.
Exactly. Yeah.
So she valued me a lot, and that's why we're together today.
Awesome. Big bro.
So where am I?
So, I got you, right? Yeah. So, first of all is, what was it like when you met your wife, right? And then did you guys make plans like right after the engagement or right after you guys got married, what your future was going to be like?
Right. So this is a really good question because when I met my wife, it was kind of like on a dummy mission. I was just a wingman to my one of my good friends when he was still here in Indiana. And he was kind of talking to a friend of hers. And my wife had a swimming party over at her apartment complex. So I was just tagging along. My bro was like, hey, man, I'm about to go to the swimming party. We can jump on the bikes. Let's go over there. We just have a good time. Went over there. And I wasn't, at that time, I was just kind of just dating people, but I was kind of like, just kind of keep it to myself. I wasn't really looking for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I got over there, met some good people, and I met her. We had a conversation, but at that time, it still wasn't registering to me like, hey, she could be a potential person I can, see myself with or date or anything like that. So we got invited to, I think the following week, it was like Memorial Day weekend, I believe. Which one? I always forget, Memorial Day or Labor Day?
Oh, shoot.
May. What's the May one? No, September. That's Labor Day, right?
Yes.
Yes, Labor Day. It was Labor Day. I always
Yeah.
get those two mixed up.
Yeah. Well, if we think about it, because we're from Indianapolis, so the Indy 500 is in May.
So that's
how I
Memorial Day.
remember.
Got
Yeah.
you. So yeah.
Yeah, that's how I remember.
Yeah. So for Labor Day, we got invited to another cookout. Another friend of my wife, she invited us back over. And that's when I had a conversation with my wife and my future wife at the time, but got to know her a little bit, got to know what her aspirations were. That's when I found out she was kind of in the pageantry and things like that. I was like, man, this is a cool person. She's actually in tune to what I have to say. She seems interested. And so, we exchanged numbers. That was kind of a slick move for me. I was like, hey, you know what I'm saying? You mind if I get your number? You know what I'm saying? So me and my boy can come kick it at the pool, blah, blah, blah. I ain't had no game really. So that was just my way. So I got the number. And then when I got the number, I just asked her on the date. And it's funny, at that time too, she was at a place in her life to where she was kind of, just finding time for herself, not really dating multiple people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cause she was kind of like, look, I'm in a space I don't want to deal with any men right now. But for some reason, she was like, I'm gonna give him a shot.
Yeah.
And we went on our first date, and we kind of kicked it off, man. Had good conversations, and kind of went from there. But when I decided to propose to her, so we got together we met 2014, made it official like I think October, November that same year.
Yeah.
But we got married in 2018. It's funny. So when I proposed to her, I know this is the one I want to be with, so let's build something together. But right before we got married, her mom's been suffering from cancer for a while. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but her mom, she got to see the dress and everything she was going to wear for the wedding. We had plans for her to be part of the wedding. She passed away from cancer. So our wedding wasn't really, although it was a very beautiful wedding, she wasn't there really.
Yeah.
Her mom, she barely remembers anything of the wedding. Like when we look at pictures and stuff
I didn't know that, yeah.
When we look at, she's like, I don't even remember that because her mom she was still grieving.
Right.
And so we had conversations like maybe we should have pushed the wedding back but my thing was like, if we would have pushed it back, well, I'll kind of get into that. Let me not jump ahead. But, so at that time we were dealing with that. Then right after the wedding, right before we were going, so our wedding was in August. In August, we were going to go to our honeymoon. In October, she went because she has the BRCA2 gene because her mother had cancer or whatnot. Went to go for a standard checkup, found a lump in her breast. And, you got to do the biopsy. It might not be anything. They did the biopsy, found out she had stage 2 breast cancer.
Yeah.
So right before we went on the honeymoon, we was dealing with that. It's like, dang. So just kind of all sum it up, we didn't really have an opportunity to really plan out our future.
Exactly.
Because we were dealing with the whole cancer thing.
Yeah.
We're just now at a point right now where we're trying to figure out how to build a family after she beat cancer. Thank God she beat cancer. But with the cancer going through chemo treatments and all that, it kind of messed with her ability to be able to conceive on her own, right?
Right.
So she had to, because she's high risk for ovarian, she had to get her ovaries removed. So we tried IVF treatments. We went through several iterations of IVF when she still had one ovary. Of course, she wasn't generating any eggs because the chemo kind of killed all that. So we went on ahead because she was high risk for ovarian, got rid of the other ovary. So now she still has her uterus. So now we're in the process of looking for egg donor, things like that. And we already went through an iteration of that. The egg didn't take. So we took about a couple years off, kind of just get over that because it's kind of like when the egg doesn't take, or embryo, I should say embryo, when it doesn't attach to the uterine wall, it's kind of like they have a miscarriage. So we technically had a miscarriage. So we wanted to take that time to grieve, and it's very expensive to go through those iterations of IVF, egg donor, all that stuff. So we want to take some time to, get some money back in our pocket, things like that. So we're about to go through that process again. We do want to build a family. We want to start off. I think we want at least two babies if she's able to carry 2.
Yeah.
We might, after the first one, she probably won't be able to carry another one, but we'll see, right? But we both want a little girl. And we both do want to build something financially together. She's very entrepreneurial. She has a couple businesses and things like that. So I really want to build on that. But all that to say, we didn't really have the opportunity to kind of plan our future because we were dealing with outside things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things were out of our control.
Exactly, yeah. So what was dating like before you met your wife? Like what was yeah.
To be honest with you, bro, to kind of go back a little bit, I was engaged before I met my wife. So after that engagement didn't work out, I was kind of just I was healing because that took a while for me to get over.
Right.
They always say once a man falls in love, it's so hard for him to get over that. It took me years. So I was dating, I had another relationship, things like that. That didn't work out. But I wasn't in the space of really, really wanting to take the next step with somebody because I feel like I was still healing myself.
Yeah.
Figuring out what I really wanted. I did have a type. I think y'all know what my type was. So my wife is not my typical type of woman I would go for.
Okay.
I'll say it. I'll probably get thrashed on from people watching this podcast. But my type before was like light skin, long, straight black hair, beautiful, blah blah. But I say my wife. My wife's beautiful. But after that, I was very shallow. But then I kind of over time, once I started dating more people and see that there was more for them to offer than just looks, personality. What do you want out of life? What are you doing for yourself? How's your family dynamic?
Exactly.
What are your morals? What are your beliefs? Do you believe in God? Things like that. That shallowness just started to decrease, and it was like, man, there's more out of getting to know somebody, being in a relationship, and building with somebody than their looks.
Yeah.
Then that's when I met my wife. And I was like, man, she's got the total package. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's smart. She's got aspirations. Beautiful. She's brown skinned. I wasn't used to brown skin.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me, you know what I'm saying? And she's just beautiful all the way around. So, but dating, like I said, it took me a minute from my previous relationship to her. It took me time to heal. God had to make sure he put, I think people are put in your life for seasons, during different seasons, to kind of help you get over something you're trying to get over, what you're doing in life.
Yeah.
So I had to go through all that before I met my wife. It was almost like he was preparing me and her for each other.
Mm.
So once I got to a point where I was mature enough to actually dive in deep with somebody to take it to the next level, I think that's when I met my wife. So.
Yeah. There's a lot of things out of that, testimony you just gave. Like, man, like I said, I wish I had known y'all before I started like approaching life, because y'all out here something crazy. So me and my wife honestly are like high school sweethearts. Like honestly, we dated when I was a senior. She was a junior in high school. We broke up. We got back together when she was a senior in high school. We broke up again. We got back together when I came back from overseas. That was like a 2-year, maybe 3-year gap. So that was like 2010 when we got back together. So a total of 18 years together. Yeah, long time. Actually, it sounds good, and you put your age on. It kind of hurts a little bit, but I think we started making plans even before we got engaged, to be honest. We talked about kids. We would talk about, what kind of home we wanted, which was interesting. We wanted completely different things. I wanted a condo because I didn't want to be doing, like, you grow up as a male, right? And you're doing all the housework. You're, got these different responsibilities than probably some of the women in your home do, right? I didn't want to cut no grass. I didn't want to shovel no snow. I wasn't trying to trim no bushes. I wasn't trying to cut down no branches. Condo. She wanted a house. Makes sense. She comes from a big family. So you need a big house. We talked about 2 kids. So in the reality of how everything went down, she won. She got the 2 kids. She got the big house. And, one of the things I learned from that was just, you never know what you actually do want until you actually experience it. And so a lot of my experience in our relationship is just the things that I told myself I didn't want, I have. And now that I have it, it's like, oh, I actually want this. I want to keep this, right? So when it comes to dating, I was a scoundrel. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Like, I was a scoundrel, man. I think it's because I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. So when it came to like talking to girls, never knew what to say. I had all these, homeboys encouraging me, trying to just go talk, say this and that. A lot of times got me in trouble. Because sometimes, because I was an awkward person, and because I like typical things that are, or not typical things. I like things that are typically not, popular, at least at that time in the 90s and early 2000s. I was a skateboarder. I was a nerd who drew and anime, cartoons. I still loved all that stuff. Well, a lot of girls from our neighborhood did not like that stuff. Matter of fact, I couldn't even like visually show that I was interested in those kind of things. Because you come out the house and then all the bullies are there. Some of the, there's a lot. But I did have a type. It's funny. I remember the first light-skinned girl I ever saw, and it just changed my world. And I was just like,
what is
that? That's a beautiful looking girl, right?
What is that?
And I dated dark-skinned girls, brown-skinned girls, and my wife's light-skinned, so I guess I won in that life aspect. But it's funny hearing each of you tell your stories about what you actually wanted and saw value in, because I actually saw the opposite. Like I was very shallow. Um, I thought like supermodels and the girls on TVs and stuff like, well, music videos, right? Like I thought,
video vixens.
yeah, I thought that was like
Yep.
what you should be aiming for.
Yep.
I'll just say this, man. It was a wild, wild west in the 90s because you couldn't watch a movie without somebody being half naked, right? So, that's what I thought you're supposed to go after. And I would go after girls like that and realize, like, not saying all girls like that have some issues, but what I was enduring was not a good experience. And so it kind of changed my perspective and things like that. So that's kind of my experience when it came to, dating and types. I had a lot of troubles dating. I was probably the cause of a good half of it, and then the other people were cause of the other half. So, kind of take a dive into like the business aspect of things now. I think we all can agree, like, to have a business, you kind of have to be confident, right? Like you cannot go into a business without any level of confidence. It's well, you probably might not even do it, just to start. So confidence, faith, and some guts go a long way. So we're all in different stages of having a business. Alexis, as you mentioned, betting on yourself, having that confidence. In the last episode is kind of what got you going. I basically called it the door-to-door salesman route that you went that just paid off for you. But what were some of the failures and successes of trying to just get into that motion of creating your own work for yourself? Like
Failures and successes.
yeah, like when you told yourself, like, I'm just gonna go do this myself. What kind of failures did you experience? And then, what were some of the successes that kind of just stuck with you that you always, remember, be like, I had this happen or something.
Never really thought about that.
I know you had some failures.
Oh no, for sure. I have. I'm actually. I got a book I'm writing on. It's called Everything About Photography Without the Camera, and it's a bunch of stories about all the lessons I learned in photography that could have made or break
Oh wow.
my situations.
Yeah.
Like location scouting. I got a story on there when I went to this theater. I was supposed to shoot a fashion show, and literally, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, the models are gonna walk here. I'm gonna shoot here, here. Cool. As soon as the fashion show started, they cut the lights out. Was not prepared for that at all.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
goodness.
it was a shit show. I'm literally like in the little movie pews with my phone trying to Google. All right, what can I do with my camera to shoot in the dark? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm the photographer for the fashion show, and I didn't handle it good afterwards either. Quentin, I apologized already. You know this if you watch this. Yeah, afterwards everything just looked like shit, and they were like messaging me, emailing me. I'm like hiding, like looking at the messages, like I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. It just went on for like 3 months. Then they heard nothing from me, and eventually I was like, all right, I'm just to do my best, send them what I got, and yeah, I don't know what happened after I sent it.
Yeah.
No one said anything. I was like, here you go, right on, bro. That was it. So I don't know what happened from that, but definitely could handle that a lot better.
So what did that teach you?
Know everything about a project. This is talking photography specifically.
Mhm.
Like understand completely the flow of events. Like if I just asked more questions,
Oh, there you go.
I would have been more prepared.
Right.
Didn't do that, And since then, yeah.
Was there a parallel story
What do you mean?
where a similar thing happened, but you knew exactly how to approach everything for it?
Yeah, every project after that. Yeah, 'cause in my mind, I'm right back in that theater
Right, yeah.
in the dark
You want to relive that?
on my little iPhone trying to get a signal in a movie theater. How do I shoot in the dark? Like, yeah, embarrassing, a lot of pressure, but I keep that with me.
Now, this is a tougher question when we're talking about the success. What was a success that you had that you didn't expect to be successful? And they just came to you like, yo, this was amazing. You're like, oh, you like that? Or you saw that as value? Because sometimes when we're doing things just in our daily work life, like we get hit with those successes out of nowhere.
Success is subjective, so it's actually hard to really
It
answer
is.
that.
Yeah.
You know, like, is it money based? Is it opportunity based? Like,
I guess for you, like what? Yeah, for you, because like I think that's important for people to understand is you have to have your own level of success, right? You have to understand what that means to you because if you're just going off of what other people say success is, it's going to be kind of hard for you to actually keep aiming for something and be happy with that. So for you, what was a success that you thought was a success that came out of nowhere but sticks with you?
maybe my first retainer client.
Okay.
Let's go with that because that was pretty up there.
Mhm.
Her name's Zoe Laverne. Shout out Zoe. Famous TikToker. Her and her husband. A lot of followers, big following. Team Check hired me to like go shoot content with them. Put me on retainer for like 4,000 a month,
Oh
and I
wow.
literally just had to go show up once a day and hang out with them. And they're like cool. So I was just like hanging out with y'all. They was just like, oh, show up with your camera, record, send it over. 4 bands a month, once a week. It's perfect. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I got cool with them, got cool with their family, and it literally
Yeah.
it didn't even feel like work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And I kind of got to see behind the curtain of what it was like to be like a social media star, and that's a whole other story in itself. Like, yeah, it's just a whole thing. But yeah, I'd say that was probably one of my biggest successes. How I got it, like I said, I kick doors down.
Yeah.
Like, so if I see something or see opportunity, I'm there and I'm willing to go above and beyond to let you know that I'm interested
Yeah.
in the opportunity. I was in this group for videographers on Facebook, surprisingly. And my friend Cora was like, hey, I am in need of a videographer in Indianapolis to shoot content for somebody. She didn't say the name. She was really suspicious about it. It was a secret. And I was just like, hey, Corey, this is my name, blah, 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 blah. Let me know if you want to hop on a call. You know, I'm really interested. I got some free time. Let's see if this thing makes sense.
Yeah.
And she liked my work. She got a phone call, and she built this up so much. She was like, okay, so I'm going to tell you who you're going to work for. And I was like, okay, cool. Can't wait to see who it is. Timer. Okay.
I'm still good.
Are we good? Okay, keep going. So yeah, she built up this who the client was. Mind you, I've already been performing on stage. I've already worked with celebrities. It's just another person to me. I'm dope too. That's my mindset.
Yeah.
You know. You know. So she was like, "It's Zoe Laverne." I was like, "Okay, I don't know who this is." Did you hear me? It's Zoe Laverne. I was like, "Oh, cool." Googled her. I was like, oh, "Okay, she dances. Cool. We got something to talk
Yeah.
about or whatever." She was just kind of like, "Okay, very well." I'm just like, she's got millions of followers and stuff, and yeah, she's a really cool person, but it's no skin off. Like, it's what it
Yeah.
is. Like, I mean, good for her. Proud of her. Keep it up.
All right, Christian. So same question. The way I'm gonna tailor it for you is, talk about a business, that you've started. I know in the last episode you kind of went into it a little bit, but same thing. What was a failure that you had that you're like, okay, I learned from that one. I know how to adjust for it the next time it, might happen or something like that. And then the same thing with the success, right?
So to narrow down failures, I've had a lot of them. But it's kind of like what Alexis said. Failure really you can't let it define you. You got to use it as a learning experience to move forward. So a lot of stuff I choose to not regret. I choose to just filter through it and see what can I learn from that experience. I'd say a recent failure that kind of wasn't a failure. I learned a lot from it. I took it and moved on. So I did an experimental business.
Mhm.
And I might have talked about it a little bit where I actually, I guess to go into the backstory, I actually made a disguised name and became an author. And I wanted to test out a theory. I wanted to test out to see how successful I could do it. So I learned how to do email marketing. I learned how to do write newsletters and different things of that nature because I was practicing. Okay, how can I learn Amazon to start putting books on there, sell products and different things like that? Because I'm a comic book illustrator. So, but I didn't want to fail in my comic book illustration, put it out there, and then I fail and fall on my butt. I was like, well, let me test this out first.
Yeah.
So I actually found success in the romance category. I kept it clean. It was Christian romance. It wasn't anything raunchy, but I was selling books for 99 cents. And from those 99-cent books, I was able to build a newsletter of about 18,000 subscribers. And in a month, the most I generated from the sale of my own personal books was a little over $600. And another 200 from people buying access to my newsletter. So they would pay me because I had so many subscribers, they would pay me to be featured on my newsletter. So between those two things, I made about $800 a month from that. Now, mind you, Amazon only pays you, 30%, I believe, of what your book is. So out of 99 cents, I was only getting like 35 cents per sale.
Okay.
So I thought that was pretty good for how cheap I was selling the books for. So I took that knowledge, backed out of that, and now I'm working on reapplying that in something I actually have more interest in. But that was just a test run. But I guess the failure with that, I stopped. I probably could have took it further because I actually learned that other people do that on a regular basis and make tens of thousands, $30,000 a month using that model. Yeah, I could have kept going with it, but I stopped because that wasn't really my goal. Like I was like, I don't really want to do this. I'm just kind of testing it out, and I was just doing research. So I guess that's kind of a failure because I'm like, dang, I could have really made something out of it, but I don't like pursuing stuff that my heart's not in and that I genuinely don't have interest in because I believe that, God has a calling on everybody's life. I've been an artist since I've been a child, so I've always wanted to do something with my comics and storytelling and different stuff like that. And now I have an interest in teaching people and stuff like that. So I want to try to combine that. That's part of the reason we're doing this podcast is to teach people different skills, let everybody know kind of where we've been, and then kind of go from there. But that was kind of a failure to me because after finding out how big people actually make it doing stuff like that, I was like, I could have kept that going. And now it's like the newsletter is pretty inactive and stuff like that. But I'm like, it is what it is. It's a learning experience.
Exactly.
And I can use it in the future and use it for different projects.
So I mean, it sounds like you had the failure and the success within that one story. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
It hasn't turned into a big success, but I expect it to. I fully expect it to with the other things that I'm pursuing. Tweaking things along the way, figuring out how can, doing a lot of research, trying to figure out, okay, how can I perfect that in a slightly different genre? And just having that expectation that it's going to be a success. I've carried that when it comes to my jobs, anything I pursue, taking the fear out of anything that you're doing and just deciding that this is going to work regardless because I want to make it, I'm going to make it work. I've got God to back me up and just move forward with that plan. That's usually how I approach things. And I'm usually always going to find success at what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think for me, when it came down to business aspirations, I think my approach was the first time through, I was doing it for the wrong reasons. I was just doing it to make money instead of actually wanting to own something and make something, I hadn't done before, something like that. So my first goal was to be a YouTuber. And it was funny because I had the wrong approach in that. I figured because I played a video game, I was like, hey, I'm on this thing every day. I might as well make some money from it. Please consider before you do that. Because the game I play is Magic the Gathering. It's a very complex game because it involves strategy. It just involves a lot. It's a very good game, though. It keeps my mind sharp. But I was playing their online game, and to be honest, when I took the approach to do it for a living as a YouTuber, I did a lot of research into it. I came up with a plan and everything. The only thing that hurt me in that was I didn't realize once I started doing it and how frequently I was going to have to do it what effect that would be on me, because I took on every role. I was the creator, I was the photographer or videographer, I was the editor. My bro Alexis is shaking his head because literally I was calling him like every other day or every day, like, hey, I'm doing this, da, 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 da. How do you do that, whatever. And I burnt myself out. Because everything I do, they all can attest, I go all the way in. Like, I will dive in research. I'll buy whatever necessary equipment I need to get it done. And I'll just pour hours of just practice into something. And so I had to learn how to be an editor. So I spent a lot of time doing that. I spent a lot of time just crafting every little video I had put up, which meant I had to create. So the way Magic Gathering works is you create, it's like a trading card game. You have to create the deck. There are literally endless possibilities of how you can create this deck. And I'm deciding I'm going to make a video every week doing this. So if a deck doesn't work out, I have to go create a different one and test that one out. So before I finally get to the video to shoot that's got the right, content in it, I may have went through 5 different decks, which meant I may have spent 6 hours shooting the content just to only get 45 minutes of content to use. Now I got to edit it. Now I got to create the thumbnail. Now I got to do the audio and everything, right? I got to do the description and all the upload information for YouTube. Got to do the short forms, right? The shorts. Got to upload on social media and all that stuff. So the failure in that was I decided to do it all by myself. And I do not advise that unless you just that guy and you're young. I was not young trying to do this. So for me, that was a failure. The success was that I was actually killing it, but I didn't realize I was because I thought, I had to reach this goal of, 1,000 subscribers or something, and I wanted it now. And so I approached it every day like that. Okay, I'm gonna get another 15 subscribers today or something like that. And I should have just gave myself some grace and just backed off and be like, all right, let's take a break, assess what we're doing, figure out if we need help or something like that. Because I ended up with 75 subscribers. I just checked. It's at 60 now, so I lost 15. But to be inactive for a whole year and still have 60, I'm still happy about that. And I was only a YouTuber for 4 months. So, I had a success and a failure in that. But the biggest thing that after hearing, you and Alexis talk, it's like, I think we've all kind of experienced a similar thing. It's like, okay, when you start out with a business, you're going to have the pains. You're just going to have the pains because you got to experience, right? It's the same thing that you do with your career, your job, work, whatever. Yeah. You got to experience something first, and then you'll start to adjust. You can't give up. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. You can't give up. I love how Alexis, dude, I would have quit.
Yeah. So after that first,
the lights went out, I would have quit them.
Walked out there, like, where's he go? Walked straight out. Yeah.
I would have been apologizing my butt off, man. But the fact that you had the gumption to like stick through, I was like, bro, yeah. I mean, it's a testament to your character as well. Big bro, Chris. I know. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say about like how you feel about a business. I know you haven't really started one yet, but I guess you can kind of just talk about how you feel so far about, starting a business. And
Ooh, I like that.
You know what I mean?
I like how you spun that question for me. I want to start off by saying like, I commend all of y'all for like having the confidence to like just step outside your comfort zone to kind of start these businesses. I didn't know you did all that. Oh, as your brother, I had no clue. I knew about the comic stuff, but I didn't know like you being an author and things. I had no clue. Like your photography journey where you started that story. Man, I would have left. I would have left. Yeah, and then with you start with YouTuber and things like that. Like those are things that, and I shared in the last episode that I'm a traditional 9-to-5 guy. I come from that background. Like you go to school, you get your degree, you work a 9-to-5, and you work hard to work your way up. That's so that entrepreneurial spirit has never existed within me.
Still hold success principles though.
Yeah, true. That is true. That's true. Because you can take some of that outside. Right. So yeah, definitely. That's a good point. But to go back to your question about how I feel about starting a new business, it scares the crap out of me. To be honest with you,
it should.
Because I don't even know where to begin. I don't know how to. Because just kind of back up a little bit. I had thoughts in the past of starting my own, and I think you something you've thought about too. My own like IT tech service business.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it, and I started looking at other companies that were out there that do kind of the same thing. And what would it look like if I did it? How can I set myself ahead of everybody else? I got stressed out, and I said, I'm good. Then I had another business opportunity with a buddy of mine. You guys all know my passion is I love boxing. I love watching boxing. Like I'm listening to boxing podcasts. I make sure I pay attention to all the boxing fights that come on, things like that, but at least the major ones. And so and I used to be I don't want to say an avid cigar smoker, but I enjoyed me some cigars. So, we want to kind of mix that together and build something like, hey, well, we talk boxing all the time anyway, and we smoke cigars. Let's just let's just put up a camera and just talk and just go live and just smoke cigars, talk boxes. That never came to fruition because it was a COVID thing. It was like, it was a COVID thing, and we weren't doing nothing but smoking cigars, watching boxing anyway. So we were like, let's just do it, and we never did it. But I think that's one of those things where I'm not a risk taker, and it's like I should have just did it, but I'm like, I'm just gonna stick to my 9 to 5. So going back to your question, like I said, it scares the crap out of me just knowing where to even begin, where to start, and just having that confidence to really just go forward with it and having faith in God. First of all, I think that was my first issue, is not really putting my faith in him to be like, hey, because I had the thought for a reason. Something put that in my head to like, hey, start something on your own, start something on your own, have multiple streams of income. I just didn't know what that meant, and I didn't know how to pursue it. So my natural reaction is just kind of fall back into my comfort zone with my 9 to 5. You know, I'm doing pretty good in my 9 to 5. God has blessed me, working my way up there. I'm just gonna stick with that, right? But now I'm at the age right now to where I'm like, man, it's time to I gotta build something. I want to build something. Like I mentioned in the last episode, something I could pass down, something I could build with my family, my brothers, my wife. Like I said, she's very entrepreneurial. So I'm trying to be more open-minded, think outside the box and step outside my comfort zone. Because before, like I said, I'd just be like, nah, I'm good. If you guys would approach me about this idea about 5 years back or so, I would have said, nah, I'm good. Yeah. But now I'm more open-minded.
You know what's so funny?
What's that?
Because I feel like you would have too. Absolutely.
I would have. You know I would have.
Oh yeah, big bro. I'd be like, oh, no, big bro.
Yeah. But now I feel like over the years, with me getting more mature and like surrounding myself by some people who have like yourselves that have that mindset. You got to surround yourself around like-minded people. That's the most important thing. And especially with you all have stories around about your entrepreneurial journeys, you know, that gives me comfort to know like, hey, I've got some people who have some experience. They went through the ups and downs. This isn't so scary. I'm still scared, but this is something I have support now. You know, my wife is an entrepreneur. I have support from her. I have support from my brothers. So, and like I said, just give faith to God and just hope it all works out. But I'm scared, but I'm open-minded. I'm excited to see where this takes me. And it takes us, honestly. But yeah, this is never something, it's not something I've ever done before. So,
you know, I think it's important to note, like what you said about surrounding yourself with like-minded people, because if you think about what caused us to do anything once we left the house to pursue specific things, it was probably somebody else that was like probably doing it or talking about doing it. I noticed with me, and this isn't like a business thing, but I think we all can attest to what I'm probably about to say. But when I hung out with like the crew, everybody just played video games. Nobody was really trying to make a living doing something or a career doing something. And then my thing was like, and this is what, you know, hopefully God works with me on. I know he will, but, you know, I'm open to is when I was in Florida, as you all know, I was homeless at one point. And I told myself I'm never going back to that. So there are things that I'll notice that makes me like, this isn't kind of going in the direction I want to go in, because I'm always trying to make money to make sure I don't lose anything I have. Because of that, I left the crew. I realized a lot of people were not trying to do anything. They just go to work and their jobs were kind of like, they weren't even making really money. It was just like, I'm able to buy one video game a month, pay my bills, and that's it. And I was just like, I'm not living like that. Right. And I realized like I was kind of like one of the only people in that situation. I was like, okay, I probably need to distance myself, because if I keep hanging around this kind of, you know, activity, I'm going to stick with it. So, you know, those kind of things pushed me. And when, you know, the coworkers I had were the ones that are like, hey, man, you don't need to be doing this, man. You need to go do something else where you can make some of your life. And I promise that was the only reason why I got to where I'm at. Like AT&T, you know, they laid off some people, and then next thing you know, one guy's like, man, weren't you trying to go to IT, man? Why don't you go do that? Like for real, do the IT thing. That's what got me in IT. Next thing you know, I'm in IT. Somebody's like, bro, why don't you go to security? Ain't no money in this. Next thing you know, I'm in security. And the boy's like, man, you need to get you a business, dog. Like, so I'm trying to get a business, right? And I kind of was already, like I said, doing the YouTube thing, because one thing I noticed was I had these large amount of student loans, that I needed to pay off. And then I didn't want to take 30 years to pay my house off. I was like, dude, I just watched my dad do that. Just watched my grandparents do that. Retirement at 60, sorry, does not look fun. I was like, can I retire at least 10 years before that? Maybe 20 years before that? And that's what made me like think of like a business. And then you talk to people at work that already have their business. They work too, but they also have a business. So that was what pushed me. But I think it's probably what pushed all of us to like go look for something. You know, yeah. Hearing like you talk about your fears, I experienced the same thing. I was terrified. That's why I chose something simple. I was like, YouTube, easy, you can get into it. Video game, easy, you could do that every day, you know. But it's like sometimes when somebody comes with an opportunity, a little risky, you might have to put some work into it, right? Like Alexis is reacting like, yeah, bro, you need to do that, right? The fear is what keeps you out of it every time. It's like my buddy in Texas was like, hey, I just need 10 grand. And we do this trucking business. I was like, I got it, but I don't know if I want to give you 10 grand.
Yep.
Still my best friend, right? Next thing you know, I think it was like a year. He's like, bro, I make $245,000 off this trucking business every year. You know, tears are just rolling down my eyes because I'm like, oh my God, like that much, and you still work for AT&T? Okay, awesome. But you know, yeah, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure when it comes to your friend, he was afraid too.
No.
Most people are though. The thing about it is, even if he wasn't, most people they act in spite of that fear. They feel the same thing we're feeling, but the difference is they take that step forward and do it anyway. Especially if it's your first time. Now, if some people they've seen somebody that's done it. Like, for instance, you're in a position now, you're like, well, I've seen him do it. Now we're stepping up like, okay, well, I'm going to do it. But say, for instance, there's a lot of people that are in a position where they're like, well, I've never seen anybody successfully do this that I know. Yeah. And that fear is holding them back. Sometimes it does just take somebody else doing it. Like you said with your story. A lot of people were telling me, going to this, going to that, try this. Yeah. See somebody succeed. Now you're acting in spite of maybe having a little bit of fear. It's probably diminished a little bit. Yeah. But you're acting in spite of that.
The big thing about him, he's my big bro. He's like 15 years older than me. That wasn't his first business. Right? He's been doing this since he was 18, right? He was a hustler in Chicago. Turn around, he had apartments that he owned, right? And he allowed his family to stay in there at a lower price than everybody else. And then he also, like, he just had all these different business ventures that he's done. By the time he went to the trucking business, I was halfway tempted, but I had just had our son. And so I was like, this is not the time to probably like look at that. But the trucking thing was one.
You good, man?
Somebody across the way, boy.
He's like, hey man, I'm trying to do my job, dog.
Exactly.
But you know, that, and then he actually came to me before with a business idea, and it was to flip homes. He's like, hey, you know, it was supposed to be 4 of us. Two of the other people backed out, and I was all ready for it because he was like, hey, we'll learn how to flip homes. He already knew how to. He was going to teach us. He's like, everybody just come with $5 grand. We go buy one of these homes around here. We flip it, we make it into something, and just keep doing that over and over and over again. And you learn skills. Well, the other 2 backed out, so it made it not an actual possible venture. So, but whenever I think about business, I think about him because that man, he ain't got nothing to lose. So that's why it's so easy. Like the whole Chick-fil-A thing. Like he came to me about Chick-fil-A. He's like, let's do it. I was like, how do you do that so easily? You know, so okay, moving on to our next segment. You know, getting a little personal, maybe a little bit uncomfortable. But when you hear the term young bull, you think young man in their 20s, fresh out the zoo, wild, invincible, hungry, maybe the embodiment of confidence. I'm embellishing this a little bit, I know. So, you know, what was fresh out of high school Chris like? What was some of the pains of being a new adult, you know, things that you had to endure and survive, you know, that stick with you to this day?
Man, that's a good question. I'm ancient. I gotta think back in the archives a little bit. Well, first of all, my senior year, so in high school, you know, I was in the sports, played football my first couple years, and then ran track. So the first thought of mine was like, okay, I'll get a track scholarship somewhere, right? Got letters, offers, but never really had a scholarship. So that was kind of like, I don't know what this track thing is going to do. I'm good, but I'm not. I don't think I'm. I don't. To me, I wasn't good enough to really pursue it. You know, track and field, unless you make it to the Olympics and you're not really gonna make money. You get your money from sponsorships, things like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what's the next thing? And I waited late to try to even look for colleges because I think I was trying to bank on my track career. And I was like, let me start applying for colleges and things like that. And I was trying to get into HBCUs. I think I waited too late, and my GPA wasn't the greatest at the time. My senior year, I kind of slacked off, to be honest with you. So, you know, waited late to do all that. Didn't get accepted in any HBCUs like the Morehouses, the Howard, Tennessee State. I think there's a couple of others in there, but I really wanted to go to HBCU. So last minute, I applied to Indiana State, got into Indiana State, right? But before that, you know, I had to figure out before going to college, like, okay, I need money to when I go into college for books and what does staying on campus look like? You know, what am I going to do to eat? This is before I even knew what the college life even looked like. Like they had like a meal plan, all that stuff, right? So my thing was just work. I just wanted to work, get some money saved up, so when I go to college, I will be somewhat prepared. And then, like I said, I didn't even know about financial aid at that point. So I was like, how am I going to pay for tuition? How am I going to pay for all this stuff? And then I found out about financial aid. You got to fill out this form, all that stuff. So it pretty much goes back to being just scared, not knowing what's going to happen. I was going to Indiana at the time. My friends were going to different colleges, things like that. So I thought I was going to Indiana State by myself. When I got to Indiana State, my homeboy I ran track is here. Yeah. He goes here too. Oh, my homeboy I went to middle school with is here too. So that made me feel wet. But first day on campus, not knowing nobody, I was scared to death. But when I seen them, I lit up. So that was one thing. But really, my mindset that summer before going to college, I worked at a chemical plant to get some money, things like that, and just kind of seeing how hard those men at the time that I kind of looked up to, they gave me advice, things like that, but how hard they worked just to make a living in a chemical plant.
Yeah. Gave some perspective.
And it put something in perspective for me. Like, I really respect what these men do. Maybe they have a college education, maybe they don't, but they're doing what they got to do to make a living for their family. But I was like, I want more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like these men, they're putting themselves around some dangerous materials and things like that on a day-to-day basis just to make some money, working hours and hours on end. So that put things in perspective for me, to kind of like, look, I want more out of life. But I still didn't know what that looked like. I was like, okay, so what am I going to major in college? I know I want to do something around computers, but I didn't know. That's really before computers really hit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's when I would decide to make my major computer science and minor in business administration, because I think the thought process for me was to really get the foundation of whatever computer science, IT, whatever that was, and I knew it was going to take off, but also have a business mindset as well. Like if I did want to start my own business, so I have like a basic foundation in management, finance, accounting, marketing, all that stuff. I can understand those things. So if I one day wanted to start my own business, I could. That was always the mindset.
Wow.
But when I got out of college, started doing things on my own, trying to figure out my way, kind of shelled up a little bit. I was scared, young man, first time on his own, things like that. So I think I kind of backed out. I was like, just working a 9 to 5 was cool to me because it was safe.
Ooh, yeah.
It was safe.
Yeah.
I get a steady paycheck.
Exactly.
And it's safe.
And that's the trap.
Yep, that's the trap.
That's the trap. All right, Christian. So, same question. What was fresh out of high school Christian trying to do? What was something that you were battling with?
Fresh out of high school.
Yeah. Did you try to go to college right away?
I did. Fresh out of high school. Okay, I had to think back for a minute. Yeah, that's a long time ago. So fresh out of high school, me and Francis had actually just got a place. Again, same thing, just we were having a side conversation, irresponsible with finances or just having a lack of knowledge on how to do stuff. We both had car payments. We both had an apartment together, and money was just going into places that didn't make sense. So I was working full time and going to the Art Institute for graphic design. And the first time I went, fresh out of high school, I just tapered off of it. And then a couple years later, I went back, but I had a goal of going into graphic design. To be honest, I didn't even want to go for graphic design. Like I always was into animation and cartoons and stuff like that. But I was like, okay, where's the money at? What's easier to get into? So I kind of went for graphic design. It just seemed like a more practical decision. And tapered off the first time because you know how it is when somebody else is paying for your college, you don't really care. But then the second time, I was married, so I took it a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where my mind was at the time. I took a little bit more serious, but then they put me into the office and I had to pay for the next quarter because I was married. It was no longer it wasn't being paid for by our parents. I was like, I ain't got the money for that. So I dropped out again and then went to the post office because I was like, I got to prioritize bills. Like I still got to eat. You know, I got a wife. We didn't have kids at the time, but I was like, I still got life. I can't just pay, throw all this money at school. So that's the second time why I dropped out. And then later on, I ended up losing my job at the post office. But at the time, I feel like I had jumped into responsibility sooner than I probably needed to. I wasn't kicked out of the house or anything. We just was trying to be grown. And I wish I would have prioritized things a little differently, but I wish I would have started setting up goals, thinking more about the future. I can't even stress enough, man. Like I was thinking day to day, if that. It would just go to work. I'm trying to get home, play Halo. Then go out tonight with my wife to somewhere. Yeah. And that's all. I wasn't thinking about anything. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about anything. It was just the eye opener came from me losing the highest paying job I ever had, which I didn't like because I was working 12 to 16-hour days sometimes at the post office. And then when I lost that, I'm like, okay, I'm salty because I lost it, because I lost all that money. But is that all there is to life?
I'm going to pause you right there because how old were you at that time?
21.
So that's insane at 21, right? To really be thinking like that. Because I ain't going to lie to you. Like, my wife was like, I want kids. And it was like 23. I said, 9 till 30.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was immature. I knew there were things I wanted to do. I wanted to come home, watch my cartoons, play my video games. Because I just went to school and just went, after that, went to work. And so I was like, dog, kids? No. Yeah. So at 21 to be having that mindset, like you wanted to come home after work and play your video games makes absolutely the most sense, right? Like, I think it's funny, and we'll get on this one day in a future episode, but I don't believe people should be look, you can leave the house if you want to, but I don't think nobody should be left on their own until they're 24 because you still have a very immature mindset. You still do things that are reckless. You still do things unadvised, sometimes advised, and you just ignore it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You're still a child.
Yeah.
That's why like the elders tell us like, oh, you're still a child when you're like in your 20s because you are.
You kind of are mentally, yeah.
Yeah, there's rare occasions where some of us are a lot more mature and they just hit the ground running and they never fall.
Yeah.
That ain't most of us. Yeah. So, I had to stop you there because I'm like, bro, how old were you when you were thinking like this? Is insane.
Well, too, like, again, none of this is ever a bash on my parents because I respect them and appreciate everything they did.
Mm-hmm.
Our dad worked a lot, and I know I didn't really have a strong relationship with him until I got older, just because he worked so much. And again, I respect him for it. I'm glad he did that because it kept us out of bad neighborhoods and stuff like that. But and then my mom, she worked a lot too.
Yeah.
She worked 2 jobs and things like that when we were coming up. So all I saw was hard work, but again, not to discredit them, they only taught what they knew.
Right.
So Pops taught me financially, all you have is all there is. So I don't think to this day he really understands credit that much, and financing stuff and how just certain things work. And he was also trying to, that's why I went to the post office. He's been at the post office for I think 25 years now. So he just was teaching us where he knew how to go, which is good because it gave an opportunity to, like I said, kind of stand on the shoulder of giants is what kind of we've been talking about. But being a part of the Black community, a lot of us haven't gone that far. So that was the limit of what he knew. And then when I got there, I was like, this sucks.
So
do this.
For the audience that doesn't know, this goes deeper past your father. Name all the people that you can think of right now that have in your family that were in the post office or still is.
My father, grandfather, 2 of my uncles. I think 3 of them temporarily. I think Uncle Webb was in the post office temporarily.
I think so.
And that's all that was taught.
So
That was career path.
there you go right there, right? Like you can see somebody was like, "This is the formula," and it just kept going and going.
I think they all Air Force and then post office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about Uncle Donald though. I don't know about Uncle Donald.
I think Pops was the only one that didn't go to Air Force.
Well, I'm talking about as far as going into the post office. I don't think Uncle did Uncle
I
Donald
think
work for
so.
the post office? Because I know he was a sheriff at one point.
He retired early. I think he retired from the post office. I'm pretty sure.
Uncle Donald.
I think so. I might be mistaken on that, but
Uncle Ronald is
Uncle Ronald's still there. Yeah, absolutely.
Uncle Donald, Uncle Ronald are twins.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how their names are.
Yeah, and it great money. Like I said, at 21, I was bringing in. I don't even know what year that was, but I was bringing in like 2,500 plus every 2 weeks. That's a lot for a 21-year-old. But I was also putting in a ton of hours doing it.
Right.
And like I said, it was just an eye opener that that generation is a different breed to be able to handle that and not sweat it and think nothing of it. For me, I was like, this is trash. Like, I'm trying to enjoy my life. I don't have a life. I don't want my life to be work.
Yeah.
So it got me thinking outside of the box after I lost that. And I lost it because I was a hothead. I didn't lose it for any other reason except for I got into it with management and ended up walking off and didn't think it through and stuff like that. But it just spiraled a different way of thinking for me that I want to leave for the next generations. Because there's people that have 4 generations of business that they pass down. That's what
Right.
I'm looking for.
And
You know what I mean?
And yeah, we're passing down, not now, but before that, we were passing down the super hard working
The line of
class
work, yeah.
generation, right? That's what
Which
we
again
kept
is better than some people do. Some people don't pass down nothing. Some people
Right.
just don't teach their kids anything, don't leave them nothing. So I appreciate my parents for what they did give us,
Yeah,
but it's time to take that to the next level.
absolutely. All right, so Alexis, you got the same question coming towards you. Fresh out of, high school, you're young. What was one of the things you were trying to get accomplished? Were you thinking about college? Were you thinking about getting a job? Like, what were you trying to do?
I was pretty much just fighting that formula the whole time because it didn't make sense to me. One thing that put me on that trajectory of thinking, I was watching some movie. I don't even remember. Actually, it was Goofy. I was watching the Goofy TV series.
Oh,
And
that's true.
in one of those ads, it was advertising going to college to be a VCR technician.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned literally last year that was a college degree you could get.
Really?
I learned that last year. It's funny you said that because I
Bro,
learned that last year.
What are they doing now?
Nothing.
They have to evolve.
Nothing. And that changed my mindset right then and that moment. I was like, VCR technician, we're on DVDs. So someone out there right now has a degree in debt to fix VCRs, which aren't, so in that, with that mindset, I was like, going to college doesn't mean I'm going to be okay. It doesn't mean I'm going to make it. So especially, I didn't know what I wanted to do either. I was still trying to figure that out. So my parents, like you said, they did the best that they could with
Right.
what they knew.
Yeah.
To them, the formula, you go to school, you go to college, you get the job, you live the dream.
Right.
After that, no, it's not that simple. And I fought them the whole way on it. After graduating, I stayed home. I got a job in security, which I love my security job because it let me put some money in my pocket, let me save up, and it let me study things.
Right.
So I told myself I would spend some time either drawing or watching TV. The other time, I'm in there in that office cubicle, I'm studying something.
Right.
Photography, graphic design, business, whatever. Just trying to keep my options open because everyone kept talking about this free money that you get to go to college, grants and stuff. Never heard a single word back.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah, that sounds good, but it didn't seem realistic. So I just completely abandoned that
Yeah.
out the gate. Some of my friends that did go to college, and actually where I met my wife at, I'll go visit her.
Right.
Go down there, hang out with them. They had dorm rooms and stuff, and I'm like, yo, this looks expensive. And it was, and it is. And I'm like, man, shit, I dodged the bullet. I'm gonna figure this shit out, and I did. So yeah, I did entertain it. Once I thought I knew what I wanted to do, I went to ITT for video game design. I was like, I play video games all the time. Maybe I'm passionate about building video games. Playing video games and coding, two different things. I'm like, I'm not gonna get excited to get up and code this and. Yeah, and then the college itself, they were teaching me things that I already knew. It's like, I'm not paying for this.
Mhm.
Like what's those classes called that you got to take?
Prerequisites.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I gotta pay for that.
Mhm.
Fuck that.
What happened to that college?
Huh?
What happened to that college?
Oh, so peep this out. This is icing on the cake. I went for one semester and I was like, this feels stupid. It really does. And it's time to sign up for the next semester. I was talking to my parents. I've been, talking to them about the whole time how I'm feeling. Like, oh, this doesn't seem right. I don't feel like anything's going to come from this.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Oh, just sign up. It'll be all right." I pretty much had to do it by myself. And they told me that I couldn't apply for the loans unless I was 27, unless I was married, or I had a kid or something like some bullshit. And I don't know, it didn't make sense. And I
Yeah.
was like, what? So I can't keep going to school because I had to take a loan out. Those are
Yeah.
that's what I need to do to take the loan out. One of those three things. And I couldn't do it. And I was like, what? So I was just like, fuck it. I'm not doing any one of those things
Right,
right now.
yeah.
It didn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense. And they just got fined out for being faulty. It was a faulty college. Shout out ITT Tech. I ain't paid them shit either. I don't regret it.
Yeah, I had to ask you that because I remember when they were on the news, and I was like, "Shut the door."
Yep.
And I think I called you too, like right after it happened. I was like, "Bro, what?" I was like, "What are you doing right now?" And it's funny because we all have different journeys when we're starting out as young individuals, young adults, and to the honest truth, I think we were all kind of a little bit scared to start because there's no definitive answer of how to actually go about it, and there's no like rightful choice, right? Not to say not to go to college, but it's not for everybody, and people have been saying that for years, but it's pushed on everyone.
So hard.
Pushed. The thing for me was when I apply myself, I'll say this: everyone's smart. Not everybody applies themselves. And I was one of those individuals who did not like to apply themselves. When I was in school, I did what my parents told me to do so I could stay out of trouble and still get gifts. That was the incentive. Right? My dad was like, "Hey, he said, you come home with A's, B's, and 1 C, you get a video game." That was every report card, right? You know what I got? All A's and B's and 1 C. I made sure every time. And, that C kind of floated back and forth between subjects. It was either math, science, or history because it just depended on who was teaching it. Like, if you made it fun, I was there with you. If you made it boring and like a chore, I wasn't with you. But I made sure I passed. And so, like, all that to say, when I got to my senior year in high school, I didn't take the ACTs. I didn't take the SATs. I didn't apply to any college. By the time they were like, "Mike, you didn't apply to a college," I was like, "When was I supposed to do that?"
Facts.
Before the senior year,
Seriously.
apparently. I was like, "Dog."
Seriously.
Like,
You're supposed to just know.
yeah, like, it was weird. Yeah.
Supposed to be the ones that-
You know what my guidance counselor would say all the time? "Mike, you're doing great. Keep it up."
That's it.
That was all I got. Now, I don't know if they just didn't see enough in me to really tell me more, but, everybody else was like, "Oh, my guidance counselor was the one that told me about groups for IU and all this other stuff." And I was like,
I didn't know about groups either.
bro, I was like, "Nah, I ain't know about none of this stuff," right? Because I guess they figured as long as I was passing and could graduate, they did their job, I did my job. But because of all of that, my dad was like, never really harping on the fact of me going to college. His wife, on the other hand, different story. And I think my other family members, different story, because they saw my older sister do it, go to college, get a degree. So they looked to me like,
Do the same.
you got to do the same thing. And it was a lot of pressure. And unfortunately, when I got out of high school, didn't apply to nothing. I was a bum. I'm just say that straight out the gate because I didn't have a job, I didn't have a car. Why girls would date me, I have no idea. Because I look back, I'm like, I would not have dated me, but that's what I had. I was trying to get a job, but unfortunately, that was like 2007. The recession was on its way, fresh out the gate, and because I didn't have any work experience, I couldn't get hired anywhere. McDonald's wouldn't hire me. That's how bad it was.
Sheesh.
So the only thing I did was my dad was like, "Hey, there's an art school. They'll teach you how to, do." It's funny how all of us was trying to go make video games or do animation because me and you went to the same art school.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, had the
Nice.
same issues too.
Yep.
Except what they told me was different because I was like, I'm not going to those. I can go for free.
Yeah.
They said you can because your dad is a disabled veteran.
Oh, nice.
I was like, okay, cool. When he filled out the paperwork and stuff, next thing you know, it's getting closer to semester. They're calling and calling and calling, like, hey, we need you to come in because you're going to have to take out student loans. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, because we're still waiting on the paperwork to get back. Now, it's funny that I asked you about your school that you went to because as me and Christian know, our school was no better. Come out, they were doing false what do you call it? It's not malpractice, but they had practices that they were doing that they weren't supposed to be doing.
Yeah. They weren't supposed to be doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. They weren't supposed to be doing financial aid because they weren't an accredited school.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, but they got 13 grand out of me.
Yeah, they was getting money. They was getting a lot of money out of people.
Because they kept telling me, well, don't worry about it. I was a fresh 18-year-old, so I took the student loans out. Right? It was a predator tactic.
Yeah.
So I went. I didn't want to miss out on it, and honestly, I only did it because I was trying to make my dad happy. I just wanted him to be happy about something I was doing with my life.
Yeah.
So first semester is over with. They're like, all right, guess what? You got to pay for next semester. And I was like, okay. They're like, yeah, but you can't take any more student loans because they won't let you finance anymore. And I was like, oh, what? So my dad helped me co-sign for the first bit.
Yeah.
I ain't had no credit, so I couldn't finance for the next bit.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, you're going to have to figure out a way to pay for this. They wouldn't even help me try to figure it out.
Mm-mm.
So I was like, okay, I guess I'm not doing this
Not
anymore.
doing it no more, yeah.
Mind you, I only had 2 art classes. A painting class, has nothing to do with animation, and then a coloring class. The other classes were math and English.
Mhm.
But I'm going to a private art school.
That's expensive.
So after all that was said and done, I was like really trying to figure it out. I was like, I don't know what to do with my life right now. So one of my good buddies I grew up with in the neighborhood, his mom was a recruiter for the Army. She always was supportive. Shout out to Miss Coates. Still appreciates you to this day. She was like, hey, look, it looks like you're having a hard time. She's like, why don't you try to, go into the Army? Maybe that'll help you get something going with your life. Because she watched me go through from senior year all the way up, and she's like, yeah, she didn't want to see me go through it.
Yeah.
So she hooked me up, went to the military after that. Best decision ever.
Yeah.
It was not the best experience, the whole thing, but would not be here today if not for that. It taught me a lot. So, but all that said, if you're going to go to college, know that you truly want to go to college. Know that whatever you're trying to get out of that experience, as far as the degree, is legit what you want. Because you're going to pay a lot of money. You're going to spend a lot of time. 4 years is a long time. People don't think about that. 4 years is a long time to be having your nose in a book.
Yeah, and I might say too, go for something that's actually going to have a good payoff. Because a lot of stuff that you can major in doesn't really correlate to an actual job, that or it does, and the job doesn't pay anything. You know what I mean? So it's like, go for something that's actually going to have a good payoff. Do your research beforehand and understand, okay, this is where the end goal is. As far as
be passionate,
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
even if the money's not a thing,
Yeah.
At least let
Do
what
what you
you're
love,
doing be the thing that's like, I'm going to enjoy this regardless, though.
Yeah.
And at least pay back that loan.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're going to take out a loan, have some way to pay that loan off fast, right? You got to have that plan in motion. A lot of people they get jobs while they're in school to help pay for that. But like you were saying, Christian, like, if you're trying to find the job that pays, pick the right one, and pick the right one that you're going to stick with. And that's the thing that makes it troubling about college is you ain't never seen it.
Yeah.
You've never done it. So you have no idea once you actually start doing it if you're going to stay with it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's on these institutes too to kind of make sure that they keep preaching to these kids when they go into college to, like, hey, we got to make sure you pick a major that's actually going to make you a certain amount of income when you get out. So I think going in, a lot of the counselors, I forget what they're called, counselors or not in college, but They
They
don't.
are. Or no, they're advisors.
Advisors.
Yeah.
They don't do a really good job of preparing you for what's to come after school. I mean, I think the general mindset is when you get in there, once you get a degree, you're going to get 70 and up by default. And that's not the case. That's not true at all. Because basically, yes, you have a certificate now, you got a degree, but you don't have any experience to back it up. Especially if you don't go through, if you don't, they try to promote you getting an internship for whatever you're majoring in throughout your college career.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you don't get an internship? Like me, I didn't get an internship, so I had to start from the bottom up. So they make it seem like, hey, you get a degree in whatever it is, IT, business, whatever, you're going to automatically come out and be a step ahead of the rest because you got a degree. If you guys pay attention to jobs now when they're hiring, not only do they say a bachelor's degree is desired with 4 to 5 years of work experience. It's not just a degree. So I think that these colleges need to really start honing in on that and really, advertising it that way. Like, hey, this is just the first step, but we got to gear your classes to get you that real life experience and things like that. So
Yeah, and we'll have an episode on college for sure
Yeah.
because I think that's institutions is one thing that's broken with society right now. And some may have good intentions. If you know of those, please tell us in the comments because I don't know of any. And the reason why I say that is because they're there to make money. Like if you think about that, they're there to make money. They're just happening to be teaching you while they're making the money. But you have to have that mindset. Going into our last segment, it's on careers, and it's more so talking about how did we choose a career that we're in? What was the motivating factor? How did we get into it? I think for me, like I've had different jobs. I think most of us have had different jobs. And when you realize how do you retire, how do you actually get to the different goals that you have, like that car you want or that house that you want or whatever, it's like something's got to pay for that. A lot of times I kept getting a job where I was like, this job ain't about to pay for that. So, it always switched up, in my head, like, okay, we need to figure out what is going to get me there. And I'll be honest, I've always been blessed and fortunate to have people that I work with that would inspire me to go do different things, or maybe they've done it themselves or just make the suggestion. So when I got into IT, honestly, someone was talking about my computer career and how they went there. And I used to, at the time I was picking Chris's brain. I was like, bro, how did you, what was your experience like to get into that field and stuff? Because a lot of people don't know, I think when you were going, there was no informational technology degree, right? Your degree is technically computer science, right?
Yep.
So, it's funny saying that because it's like, well, how did he get into that space? And that's kind of where I want, the audience to know for you, like, how did you get into actual IT when you went for computer science?
Oh, that's interesting. So let me kind of step back and kind of go back to why I wanted to get into the computer space or computer science space. It actually came from my father. So it was 2 avenues I was looking to major in as a potential career. One was going into architecture, right? Designing buildings, homes, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was computers. I really only wanted to do architecture because I know my dad, he had aspirations to be an architect when he was young. So I kind of took that. Well, I want to try to see what Dad was talking about. Let me try to see if I can kind of.
That was my focus in high school.
Really?
Architecture.
But I think the thing about architecture, thing I didn't like about it is computer science has a lot of math too, but it was a ton of like physics and things and trigonometry and stuff like that.
I did the CAD software.
Yeah, that in CAD too. And
CAD
it didn't click for me.
It didn't for me either.
And then in high school, I took a CAD class. It just did. I was like, this is not clicking for me. So then in high school, I started taking like classes like Visual Basic and Java, building websites and stuff like that. I was like, this is interesting to me. So that's what started me going down that computer science route. And when I got into Indiana State, computer science to me was just like, that makes sense. Computer science, computers, right? But I didn't know that computer science really just until computer programming. My mindset's not, so the way my mind works is I can read code, but I struggled writing it from scratch. So I can look, when it came to project time, build your own code, things like that. What I had to do was I had to take examples and snippets. I can read it, try to put it together, piece it together, tweak it a little bit to make it work. But I couldn't, if you told me to sit down on the computer, build this, we want you to build this. This is what we want to do. Go. Couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So I talked to my advisor and about my struggles and the classes I was taking at the time. And it was more towards, I was taking a lot of math, a lot of coding, a lot of theory, statistics, all that stuff. He was like, he looked at my curriculum. It was like my second semester, my sophomore year, or my first semester, junior. He was like, we got to get you some classes to get you a job. And let me back up. He wasn't my original advisor. He was the chairman of that department.
Oh, wow.
Because my advisors that I had at the time, they just weren't dependable. So I went to the chairperson. I got fed up. And he was, all right, let me look what you got. He was like, yeah. So he's the one who pushed me. He told me to take some electives towards like networking, server infrastructure, doing some database SQL coding and things like that. So that's what got me more on the IT side. Yeah. And then I told you all I had a minor in business administration. There was a information systems elective over there, which kind of tied in like building a website for a mock airplane company. And so I kind of tied in the coding with the business. But so he's the one who pushed me to kind of look for some electives that are geared towards getting me a job outside of work. So in my junior year of college, that's when they actually did finally come out with an IT degree, an IT major.
Okay.
But the reason I didn't switch was because I was already halfway done with my computer science. Although a lot of the classes they were
interchangeable.
They were interchangeable.
Yeah.
But the only problem with the IT degree, they didn't offer a master's. It was only bachelor. So I was like, well, what if I want to go back for my master's degree in computer science? I can't do that in IT.
That's interesting to know that there's always like some kind of roadblock.
Yeah, that was a roadblock at the time. So basically, but I enjoy going down the infrastructure route, the hardware route, and things like that. So I just stuck on that path, and I got away from coding, basically.
I'll go next just because like we have a similar background. My college degree, because I actually did eventually go to college when I came back from the military. I actually went for a nursing degree. And this is why I say you got to be mindful of what you truly want to do. I was only going for a nursing degree because that was the most popular career at the time. They needed nurses left and right. Issue was everybody and their mama knew that. So everybody's applying and taking courses to be a nurse. Got to the point where IUPUI was like, okay, so 1,000 people might apply to get into this school. We only taking 300. And I'm like, okay, well, who's the top that they're taking? They're like, there's people with GPAs of 4.0 that can't even get in. So they would have to transfer to a different school, like Ivy Tech or Marian College, places that offer, a nursing degree. And I was like, I ain't about to transfer because all the ones they named besides Ivy Tech were private schools that were super expensive to get into. And then it was funny because I was meeting people in the nursing classes that I was kind of like the prerequisites I was taking that transfer from Ivy Tech. I was like, wait, hold on. You're transferring from Ivy Tech to take nursing here. And people are transferring. Like, it just didn't make sense. So eventually I was like, I want to quit school. If not for y'all sister who was like, no, you spent too much time and money to actually go to this school. You need to find something and just complete it. If not for her, I would not have a college degree. So I was like, okay, went to my advisor, was like, hey, look, what can I do with and these are like very specific courses. I took anatomy. I took biology, like very specific courses for this degree, because those are prerequisites in order to get into the nursing program. I was like, what can all these things do that I can put somewhere else for a degree? And she was like, general studies. I was like, fine. Yeah. I will leave with a general studies degree then. So I finished my last 2 years doing that. the journey for IT was I got hired at AT&T as a premise technician. So I was kind of working with, computers in a way, or at least networking, where I had to make the network cables, Ethernet cables. I had to make sure set-top boxes for your cable worked. I had to make sure your internet just worked, right? I was the one that set all those things up. And people don't realize how much of that kind of work kind of can lead you into IT, at least. So when I started taking courses at my computer career, it was very easy to understand all that stuff. I messed around with that stuff as a kid. My dad was kind of like your dad, where he always saw me going into, IT. He just didn't know how I was supposed to get there. But he bought things all the time where, like, he was one of the first people that had a gateway when they came out for, the homes. And so when he would get a new computer, I'd get the old computer. And when I broke the old computer, he'd be like, you got to fix the old computer. So I would fix it. And so I was always breaking things and fixing things. And so when it got to the point where I was taking those IT courses and it was just making sense and it was easy, I was like, okay, I need to go take a stab at this. Well, the background for IT really helped. The background at AT&T really helped me get into IT, because it was very easy to say, well, I'm kind of already doing some of the things that you guys are wanting people to do for a help desk, at least. I got lucky with my first gig. They were like, you seem to know your stuff. Shout out to Joe Russ. He was very involved in me getting a position at Zionsville. And he did not hold back. He was like, hey, you got the whole, it was like Disneyland for IT guys. I got to do networking. I got to do system administration. I did help desk. I did anything under the sun there. And it was such a great experience, such a great place to work. And I fell in love with IT just because of that. And I knew, though, I couldn't stay there. I knew it had to progress. And so I was still studying, getting certifications. And so that was one of the things that in IT they really harped on, was certifications. The reason why I think I probably got the job was because I had 13 certifications coming out of my computer career. Most people don't have that even like 6 years into their careers. But that school's really good at getting you a lot of them. The only thing is you got to pass the exams, which is not easy.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of sleepless nights where I was up till like 4 a.m. studying, just in and out, learning that stuff. So that was kind of my journey into the career of IT. I got lucky. It actually usually takes longer for people. And the reason why we're having this segment is to kind of give you guys an understanding of like what it's like to actually get into the career. Because you might have that dream, that hope to actually go do it and think it's going to be right out the gate, and it's not. I had 3.5 years at AT&T before I got the IT job. Had I not did that, I'm pretty sure it would have been harder. And then the general studies degree helped too. So it's a lot of factors that played into me getting that IT job, because a lot of people were actually ignoring me. I applied at like 100 different places before that first job opportunity came along.
Yeah. I mean, that's similar. I'm glad you touched on this, because even though I got my bachelor's degree, finished school and all that stuff, I didn't come straight out of school and get into IT.
Right.
It took about, I think, 2 years. So coming out of school, and this is one thing, that kids have to look out for when they go into school. For some reason, companies and contractors know when you're about to graduate, so they just start bombarding you with opportunities, right? Like, hey, we got this job coming up, blah, 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 this project. So there was an opportunity for me to go to Champaign, Illinois, to work with this company as a QA coordinator or something. I didn't know what the heck that meant. I knew it had involved with computers. So I took a risk, stepped outside my comfort zone for the first time, right? Moved to Champaign, Illinois for this so-called project I was going to be working on that fell through. So I was stuck out in Champaign, Illinois for a year, no job, was still trying to, I'm not going to call out the IT contracting company. I'm not going to do that, but still trying to get in contact with the person there. Like, hey, what's going on? Is there any other opportunities for me? Are you still talking with the company? And after a while, they just stopped responding back to me. So I was like, man, I got to work. Because I'm here. I already signed a lease for this apartment, for this townhome. for a year. I got to at least make it for a year. So
Yeah.
I walked across the street to a FedEx Kinko's when it was a Kinko's, and I worked third shift there.
Geekos.
And so my idea there was to work third shift, so throughout the day I could do my best to still apply for work.
Yeah.
So I was applying for jobs in Champaign, Illinois, and back in Indianapolis. I was driving back and forth for interviews back from Indianapolis to Champaign, interviewing. I just didn't have the work experience, and my resume was light. So I was going to career fairs and things like that. So I finally hit my break when I went to a career fair in downtown Indianapolis. There was a software company named Autobase. Their product was a CRM tool for car dealerships where they can kind of market their products, their cars, and things like that to the customer base. And they were hiring for help desk, software support of their software. Man, I went there, I sold my book. At that time, I was like, man, I'm struggling. I'm barely living paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean? And I think by that time, though, I had transferred back to Indianapolis from Champaign, Illinois, at a FedEx Kinko's at Castleton.
Okay.
So I was back home at least.
Yeah.
But I was like, I still, this isn't what I don't envision this for my life. I want to get in and start using my degree. So I went to that career fair, man. I sold my butt off, man. And I really impressed the director at that time, and he gave me a shot. And so I got the job. I did help desk for, I think, about a year and some change, maybe 2 years. And then I was like, this is all fine and dandy, but I don't want to be doing help desk stuff for the rest of my life.
Right.
We had another department to where I wanted to get more hands-on physical with in servers and things like that. So we had an area in that company where you would be like an installer. So basically, you would just go to the car dealerships around the country. You install their server. Well, first of all, you had to do like a presentation with the new customer. Like, hey, this is what we can provide for you. This is how we would set it up. So I learned how to present a PowerPoint presentation to our customers. Then I had to book my own travel, book my own hotel, all that stuff. Go out to the location, whether it was local or somewhere out of state. And so that I was on my own doing that, and probably be like, what was I, 21, 22 years old? But I learned a lot hands-on, actually building servers from scratch. Sometimes the servers would just show up in pieces. Nobody's ever shown me how to put a server together. I had to figure it out on the job. So I would be like, man, they send all these pieces. Where do I put it in? So I learned how to do that. I learned how to rack. They customers will have their own infrastructure set up. But hey, we want the server to be racked in between these two servers. You're like, dude, you only gave me like a little bit. And then you're so scared because you're like, you don't want to bump a cable and knock their stuff out. So that taught me a lot, but I'm glad I did that because to me stepping outside my comfort zone and really put myself out there gave me the tools and experience I needed to get me where I am today. Yeah. Right. So I was able to take what I learned from that, leave that company, go to another company and continue to move forward. So the road ain't easy. Coming out of school, you got to start from the bottom. And that's why I always commend you, Mike, because I don't have any certs. Mine was just from working.
Yeah.
My degree and working my way. And us being black men in the IT industry, you got to go above and beyond because that's an industry at the time. Now it's different, but at the time it was predominantly white. So now, I had to go above and beyond. I had to do things that I had to volunteer for things that other people are like, I'll do it.
Yeah, same.
You have to, because if you don't, you're going to get looked over.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a time in the IT industry where you were just looked at as a token. Oh, you're just a token black guy because we got to meet quota type thing. It's definitely changed now, right? But that's the stuff I had to deal with.
But you'll notice
it's changed a little bit, but it's still there.
Yeah, I was about to say it's changed, but you'll still notice that. Like I've noticed being in security, it might start off two of us.
Yeah,
I'm always the last one standing.
Yep.
And I used to think it was weird, but now I don't really sweat it no more because I'm like, whatever, man. Like, it is what it is, and I it's so far away in my consciousness of being a matter, but it is one of those things like being black in this space. It does put you in a weird situation often, but it pushes you to do more and take the jobs that no one wants to do. That was one. It's funny. That was one thing somebody told me to do. It's like, I think it was you. Yeah, you told me. You were like, I was like, what's one thing that you do to like put yourself ahead of others, and he's like, just do the work they don't want to do. And I literally started doing that, and that's like people recognize. I call it brownie points, because when you need, well, one, you're gonna make some mistakes in IT. And you want to have some brownie points when you make those mistakes. Because no, I'm dead serious. You drop somebody's server, and that's an actual payment. Like, that's hosting some application that people pay or people go to buy stuff.
Yep.
It's a long day.
Yeah.
It might be a long month. And so it's like you want to have some brownie points. Christian, we're going to you next. I'll let you pick whatever, career you want to, have some input on for yourself that, one that you chose to stick with, that's been beneficial to you, that's had some value to you.
So my background's in sales. So after, like I talked earlier about leaving the post office, I was trying to decide what to go into, and I don't know where I heard that from, but I got it in my head. It might have been from a book I read or something. But if you don't have a degree, you better go into sales if you want to make some good money.
Interesting.
And I decided to do that. But I was terrified of sales to the point where even thinking about doing a cold call made me want to puke. Because I just, again, my story starts where I was super timid, super awkward, didn't have a lot of confidence. So talking to strangers was not my strong suit. So I've actually got experience in inside sales and outside sales.
Mm-hmm.
I've got aspects of business to business where you walk from strip to strip and pretty much just shake hands in any business if you're selling that type of product. Or I've done cold calls as well. Both were terrifying, but I did them anyway because I didn't have anything else going for myself. And again, I didn't have a lot of skills. And a lot of times in sales, they're willing to give anybody a shot, to be honest. As long as you show that you've got some confidence, impress them in the interview. A lot of the interviews during in sales, especially inside sales, is they do a mock interview where they pretend like they're doing a cold call with you.
Right.
And there's been times where I've landed jobs where I was like, that was horrible, and they still gave me the job. And I'm like, okay. But there's a decent amount of training. In my opinion, some jobs don't give you enough training. I've had 5 weeks. Some give you a couple months. To kind of learn the product, learn the process, get comfortable with it and stuff like that. And I actually enjoyed inside sales quite a bit, and I pursued that for a while. And even here recently, I thought about pursuing it again. But there's a large amount of payoff to it, but it comes at a price. A lot of sales jobs come with a quota. If you don't meet that quota, you lose your job. That's all there is to it. There's no second chances. There's no nothing. You could have been doing good all year, and then all of a sudden you have a bad month, and they'll still let you go. Even if you were a top performer. I've seen top performers where they were literally top salesmen 5 months in a row, 6 months in a row, maybe an entire year. And just because they misperformed, it's like you would think they would reevaluate, like, well, you know what, he's got this history of blah, blah, blah. No, you miss your quota, you're gone.
That's crazy.
So after starting to build a family, that wasn't going to work for me anymore. But I still wanted to be in sales. I still needed to be in sales because that's what I was good at. And I knew that that was a good opportunity to make money. So I started to go into the service industry. Originally, I started trying to look into HVAC or plumbing, but again, hey, props to Pops. He told me, well, look into cleaning. He was mentioning how people, clean banks at night and different stuff like that. I never thought of that.
Okay.
And I decided to start. I had 3 interviews at 3 different companies. I'm not gonna name the companies. And I'm going into that industry. Well, come to find out, you actually can get paid in carpet cleaning pretty much how you get paid in HVAC and plumbing and things of that nature, because there's a decent amount of hourly, but there's also a lot of commissions, and that's where I excelled at. So I can be a slow learner. So the first 2 years in it, I was terrible, and I was probably bottom of the barrel when it came to sales. But once I got it, I got it. And let's put it this way: one of my best months, I was out for 2 weeks of the month and still came back and smoked everybody in sales that month.
Nice.
And probably did like 30% more sales than the second runner-up dude. So sales has really been kind of my thing. I don't want to go into anything that was 100% quota based because I got a family. I don't want to take that. That's a risk I just don't want to take. So I was like, well, what has a balance to it? What still has hourly, but also gives you a commission? Because I like, once you've tasted a commission check before. Once you taste a commission check, it's like a high. It's a rush. It's ooh, I did that. Like I did that from consistent, consistent effort. Going for no, like the book says. You just shots on goal. Detach yourself emotionally from the responses that people are giving you. And it's like, once you start doing it, it's like, I can do this. And it actually becomes pretty fun. And you learn how to detach yourself emotionally from the response that people are giving you, whether they give you a yes or no to what you're selling. And you just focus on, you set a goal of, I'm going to do X amount of work today. I'm going to make X amount of calls today. I'm going to try to see how many yeses I can get. And eventually you just hit your goal. And the fear it's just non-existent anymore. So now I have the opportunity at my job to train people that come in. And it's funny watching them come in to the same thing I had when I first started in sales, was just terrified. And like, they barely want to speak to people. They barely want to offer, because they're thinking for their wallets. They're like, well, I wouldn't spend that. So they're thinking, you know what I'm saying? You ask them and they're like, well, I wouldn't spend that. So why would they? It's like, well, everybody doesn't have the same budget. They don't have the same income. They don't have, just go for it. You never know what you might get. Just ask. It's all about shots on goal. And that makes the difference. A lot of times, to be honest, that is sometimes the biggest starting point versus how you say it. There's benefits to becoming a better communicator and growing in that space to start landing bigger deals and stuff like that. But starting off, just start with shots on goal. Just do the thing,
Right.
and you'll start landing some sales, and then that'll build your confidence, and then you'll probably have more confidence reaching out to higher ups at companies and stuff like that too. I'm not gonna lie, I do miss inside sales. That was probably, like, I miss working at a desk. I miss, which is weird to say, I miss the cold calling aspect, because I was really good at just the conversational piece. I had an opportunity one time where I came back from lunch, and this was a surprise. My sales manager decided to play my audios for my sales. He's like, yo, these calls are fire. Everybody's calls need to be like that. I wasn't even the best salesman. I wasn't making the most deals, but he was like, everybody's call needs to be like this, because I just have a way of just communicating with people. I'm just like, I'm just going to talk to this person, be completely detached from what the response is going to be, and build a relationship. Because to me, in sales, a no right now isn't a permanent no. It's just a not right now.
Yeah.
So later on, if I have that relationship, they might need what I have to offer. So you just maintain that rapport with them, and see what happens later. And a lot of people feel that pressure, and rightfully so. When you got a quota, you got a pressure behind you. Like, I got to sell or I'm going to lose my job. But if you're detached from it, that you're going to be a better salesman. And another tip when it comes to sales is ask more questions. You should be talking 20% of the time. They should be talking 80% of the time. It's all about asking questions. It's all about relating. Don't lead with, I learned to not lead with talking about the product. I learned to lead with talking about the transformation. What is this going to do for you? Learning what they need, what their needs are, and meeting those needs versus focusing on, well, this is what and listen to a bunch of features. You know what I mean? This is what this is going to do, and this is what this does, and blah, blah, blah. And you also get this, and you also, they don't care.
Can't do that.
You can't do that. They don't care at all, not in the least bit. So that's kind of where my path is led, and taking the things that I've learned from sales, I'm now trying to apply in entrepreneurship and starting my own business. And it definitely looks different, but there's always, when you're starting your own business, there's a sales aspect to it for sure. So, that's pretty much it.
A question for you. Anyone that might be considering sales who was just like terrified of that nose, how do you like not take that personally?
As far as taking the nose personally?
Yeah, because I know that stops a lot of people from even considering it. They're scared of hearing that no.
It does.
Like, why? Why do you think that is?
Everybody's afraid of rejection, and I don't know if it's taught in childhood or what it is. I think, I don't know. I don't know where people get that from, but I mean, a good way out of it is just to do it. That's what for me, I just had to do it. I mean, I literally, what the feeling you get when you want to vomit, every time I picked up the phone, I'm like, I am about to puke. But you start to, when you just do it, you realize I didn't die. I didn't puke.
It didn't kill
I'm still alive. And sometimes the calls would be nasty. Like, people would literally, like, you get cussed out. Why are you bugging me? Like, people would be mad about it. But when you start to realize, like, yo, I'm still going home and I'm still able to play my games. I still get to spend time with my wife. I'm not dead.
It's funny you say that, because that's something that I've embodied in myself when it comes to sales.
Yeah.
I've been playing video games my whole life.
Yeah.
And as you know, in video games, you're going to what? Eventually.
Lose.
You're going to lose.
Yeah.
And you can always try again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the end of the world if you lose, but you got to keep pushing. And like you said, getting that commission check, it feels really good. It's addicting. When you get your own commission check, with your name on it, with your business name on it, it's a different type of addiction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you never, I think the thing that actually, it's crazy, because the thing that actually builds the confidence is doing it. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to build the confidence first and then do it. You're never going to get it.
Nope.
You're never going to have the confidence to do it if you don't just suck it up and do
Yep.
it. 100%. So, I think sales is a very rewarding career path, regardless of what you go into. Me personally, like I said, having a family, going into something that has a base pay is always good versus being 100% commission. That is a difficult place to be. I don't know how people do it. I mean, like that's like I said, that's too much of a risk for me. But I think that's an amazing career path. If you didn't go to college, you can depending on what you go in, you can go into tech sales. You can go, there's a lot of different career paths in sales that you can go into where you can make a substantial amount of money. So it's definitely highly recommended for me.
Yeah, I think I told you too. I shared with you when it came to tech sales in general. My experience is that a lot of some of the software companies I work for, the next in line person to be the next VP, CIO, CFO, whatnot, they started off in sales in some aspect, but that customer facing, aspect of it, because they look at it like, hey, you know what our customers want. You've been out on the field. You know how to talk the talk. You know our product. Boom. And then as a salesperson, you can talk the talk. So when you interview for that C-level suite job, you're a step above the rest because you know what our customers want. You can talk the talk. You've been out there. You know the product. Boom. So I agree with you. I think sales is a really good starting point for somebody who doesn't have a degree. Get into sales, get that confidence builder, be customer facing, get those commission checks. Yep. And then even if you don't want to go, above being a salesperson, you still get a lot of money.
Oh, I would even say too, like when it comes to the sales skills, I would even say, think about when you're applying for jobs. You're selling yourself. Everybody has sold at some point. So if you have some sales ability, it helps you land jobs too. Mm-hmm. I've had I know there's a lot of people that try to get into tech sales or any space that's whatever, and they're like, well, I can't get any interviews. Nobody ever reaches back out to me. And I'm like, that's the easiest part to me. Like I get people reach because I do the same thing you do, and I just send them a direct message and bug them. And I've had responses where they're like, oh, you got to wait for such and so to respond to you. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm in sales. Like I'm supposed to hunt.
Right, for real.
So that's what I'm going to keep doing. I'm not going to stop just because you told me to stop. So you got to go and hunt for it. You got to go and get it. You don't just press the easy apply and then wait. You have to get out there and actually make yourself be remembered.
Exactly. You got to stand out above everyone else. Yeah. If everyone else is sitting down, you stand up. Everybody else is standing up, you sit down. Yeah. What makes you special? What makes you different than everybody else? Yeah. You're going to follow the same trajectory they are?
Yep.
You're not going to get anywhere different.
Get anywhere, yeah, absolutely.
What was it like for you? Because you have a multitude of skills. So I guess if we have to really define it, to me, it's media. How was it for you breaking into media, photography, videography, editing? What was it like for you to let's just put it like this, get that first job? Like, how long did it take from you, like, training and doing it? Which for you were just like, weren't you just doing it for fun?
Yeah, so I have a dance crew. We're more like a dance family now. So back in the day, we used to dance and perform, and we never had any video from all our hard work. So it was like, man, we need to find a videographer, So I was like, I want to get into cameras. That seems cool, So I bought my first camera. I did a lot of things with that thing I had no business doing. Shooting weddings, the fashion show I told you guys about. Looking back on that fashion show story, my camera was not even equipped to handle a job like that. Low light, it was all going to be bad anyway. So, yeah.
But you got it though. Like, that's the biggest thing is like, from you messing around with shooting for, we'll say personal reasons, from that to actually saying, I'm going to go actually get a gig, which is a huge step, right? You go from messing around to like actually going, which is like balls on you, right? But the decision to actually go do that, right? Was it an opportunity that came, or did you go hunt for it?
No, definitely just came. I can definitely agree with the assessment. People say be in the right place at the right time. Mm-hmm. I'm outside with a camera. Hey, you shoot video? I'm like, yes, I have a camera. I do shoot video. Would you do this? Yes, I would. Are you going to pay me for it? Yeah. Okay. They don't ask me what's your background? What's your degree in? What's your experience? They just see the camera. Yeah. They see you working. That's it. Yeah. I found out really quickly. I was like, most time they just need to see you in action doing it. You know what I'm saying? So from there, just doing those jobs, I got the confidence. And then eventually I started kicking the doors down and I had a portfolio. Yeah, hey, these are things that I've done. And when I do kick the door down, I have those things ready. I have shortcuts on my phone right now. I could do like EX1, for example, one, which is all my video stuff, EX2, all my photography stuff, EX3, all my graphic design stuff, EX4, everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got a website, ready to go always.
So I couldn't wait to get to you for this because what I've learned in cybersecurity, I helped a guy get hired at the current job I'm at now. And me and him had worked at a previous place where that company had a partnership with a college. So the college actually trained people in cybersecurity and IT and stuff like that. And then the partnership was they would take the best out of that school and give them a job. And so he kind of did like a little internship there while he was there. And then when they finally hired him, he was doing his thing. We all left because the work conditions weren't great. I was the first to leave and get hired at the place I'm at now. And when we were working on getting him hired, he didn't have all the experience. He had literally been at the last place for 6 months. And as you all know, it's like they want to see like years of experience. And one thing that helped me, well, I won't even say helped me, it helped him get hired, was that the man was putting his work that he was doing outside of work on LinkedIn. The man was messing around in his own lab. He was like doing stuff, doing proof of concepts, things like that. And he had the evidence. So when I went to my director and I was like, hey, we need to hire this dude. He was like, yeah, I like this. He's like, yeah, tell people about him, blah, blah, blah. Get, the recruiters involved. The recruiters didn't want to get him involved. They wouldn't give him an interview because they was like, he doesn't have any experience. I was like, went back to the director. It's like, hey, look, they're pushing back on him because he doesn't have experience. He's like, tell them I said I want to interview with him, right?
Right.
Legit. He went and got the interview. He just destroyed the interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew he was smart. I worked with him. The fact that he had the evidence he was putting on LinkedIn just solidified it. So when they saw that and they saw the work, they actually gave him a better position than he was actually applying for. So, one thing I just want to, just tell people before, you go back to your story. The work experience is always hard to get if you're trying to get it through a job. If you can actually do the work without having a job, do it. We all have a mutual friend.
Do it.
Who I told the same thing. I said, bro, go work for somebody for free. You know what he said? He said, but they ain't paying. I said, bro, you want to work in this field, right? You don't have any experience. Go work for a church. Go work for anybody that will let you say on paper that you did the work for them. You'll have the experience. Right. Exactly. So the funny thing about an internship is like you're doing so much work under a specific amount of hours. When you just tell somebody, hey, I'll do this work for you for free, you actually control your time.
Mm.
And you still get to say for however months or years that you went and worked for them.
Mm.
So if I only do 1 hour of work for you every month for a year, guess what? It's still a year of experience.
Yeah.
People don't think it like that. I mean, think about it like that. And so it was funny, like how you were talking, about you had all this evidence. And so we went to people, it's like,
yeah,
genius, right? I mean, yeah, I just had to highlight that because when you said that, I was like, ooh, I've been wanting to say that for so long. And the fact that you actually did it just solidified it. I mean, so, okay, you had the evidence. We know about the fashion show. How many people said no before finally somebody said yes when you went and actually were knocking down doors?
How many people said no, you said?
Yeah, I know you probably can't put a number on it, but as you start like trying to get this as a full-time gig, right? What was that experience like? Like, yeah.
It was a different type of no because most of the time you just wouldn't hear anything. Some people wouldn't even bother to say no.
So, oh, wow, even better.
Yeah, you don't give a shit. And you got to keep a spreadsheet or a while. I'm like, okay, now it's been months. Wow. I'll do a follow-up. Nothing. It's like, okay, let's write them off. Yeah. So sometimes they don't even bother with the no. If you do get a no, just mark them off. Keep going.
So that's even better because now everybody listening and watching this can like hear how everybody had a different kind of no.
Mhm.
Right, one is like hitting the conventions and the what do you call it again? The career fairs, right? Like hitting those, applying to a million places, and a lot of times it was funny how you were like, don't do the easy apply because that is my go-to. I can't wait. I'm like, ooh, easy apply. Ooh, I put so much time into this resume. Why I gotta put more information? But what's funny about it is like when, like you said, you don't hear anything.
Nope.
Sometimes that hurts more than the no, right? Sometimes I'm actually happy to hear the no, like, oh, cool, I can just write them off the list.
At least they looked at you.
Right. Like, I've had companies come back 4 months later and be like, okay, we decided to go with somebody else. Like, your face, right? It tells it all.
The worst.
It's like, dude, you could have told me.
Years later.
The one that hurts is like the
again?
position is no longer even there. They ain't hiring anybody for it. And it's like,
Right.
it took you 6 months to tell me that?
Oh, or even worse, scams. Anybody been scammed before?
No, thankfully I've never been scammed. Oh God, tell it.
I almost forgot that it happened. It was when I was putting in for a design job actually. You might know a little bit about this. Remember I told you they tried to have me send a check,
Bro.
or they was like they was like send a check for the equipment because I had
Same
never worked
thing.
like for
Same
an IT
exact
company.
thing.
I was like,
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, well, that's why first thing I was like, this doesn't even sound right. So
Too
I hit
good to
him
be
up and I'm
true.
like, they're asking me to send him a check or I forget what it was. It was just something that didn't sound right. He was like, yeah, don't do that. Because they were talking about sending me equipment and all this other stuff. And I ended up just ghosting them and not doing it. But the steps up until that point were actually pretty good. But that was another red flag is I was like, I didn't have an interview.
yeah.
Nope.
There was no interview involved. So I hadn't seen nobody's face. There was no Zoom. There was no, and, previous companies, they at least give you, sometimes 1, 2, 3 round interviews face to face on a Zoom. And all of a sudden, they had some questionnaires and stuff like that and they reached back out and stuff like that. But like I said, it's still a little foggy because I just, after it happened, I'm just like, forget these dudes. But that was too easy of a yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't do anything for it.
It's
It's
like
like,
asking you for money for the equipment.
Yeah.
They already have in stock to supply whoever they are.
yeah, because it was, it wasn't necessarily a job. It was like an outsourced type of thing, but it still was fishy. I'm like, this don't sound right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't have to send you nothing. But no, yeah, I've been scammed before.
I told you I went through that IT contracting company, so I took it upon myself. I just went to the company myself and was like, "Yo, this is what's going on." I was told I was supposed to work on your project or whatever, and he was like, "That's funny because your name is not in the list of people who's supposed to work on this." But he was like, "But you're here. We're going to interview you, right?" And so that's when I interviewed. And then they were supposed to get back to me or whatnot. And then later, come to find out, they were like, well, that particular project fell through. So,
Oh wow.
and so the person I was dealing with I got somebody's name within the company. And I was working with him. And he was like, well, let me see if I can kind of help you get in and this and that. Well, then come to find out, he left. He was like, yeah, I left. I was like, something going on. And so, man, he told me, and he was like, man, but just keep at it, shoot me your resume and things like I see what I can do for you. But yeah, it was some things going on. I had to get out of there. So yeah, I don't know. See, I didn't want to call it a scam because the project actually existed, but I think the IT firm was pretty much, they were kind of, they were selling me on something that wasn't truly there, just to get money, just like, I don't know if they just to meet the salesperson's dotted line or whatever, but they got me to move, all that good stuff. And I mean, they paid me like a bench, because like if you're on the bench, you can only get paid for like a couple of months. But then after that couple of months, if you don't get on a project, that's it. And that's that's the predicament I was in.
Okay.
That's why I put it in my hands. Just go to the company. I don't even know how I did it. I don't know how I got the contact. I don't remember. I made it work, and I was like, I gotta talk to somebody because this is some BS. And they went on ahead and interviewed me and things like that. But they was like, yeah, your name's not on the list of people we got to be on this project. So yeah, I never call it a scam because the project actually existed, but
It sounds like somebody wasn't doing the administration part
right.
like they were supposed to properly.
Yep.
And wasn't keeping track of things. So we're getting close, and that's tradition on this podcast. We gotta talk about what we're gonna do tomorrow. So tomorrow, what is that step? It could be a continuation of the last step. Honestly, you should keep, practice, implement everything that you do, that you want to do, because it becomes second nature, becomes a habit, and it's not a thing that you're telling yourself to do. It's a thing that you actually just automatically do. So for me, it's going to be a continuation, but I think I'm also try something new. Mine's was making sure that when it comes to my business, I'm pushing forward on that. I think one thing that I wanted to do last week, not business related, but financially, was really moving on some of the things that I'm trying to implement. I won't say it yet until I've actually done it and seen some results, and then I'll actually say whether or not it was worth it or not. But I kind of held back on that last week. So this week, I'm actually going to push for that. I'm also still going to keep pushing towards the business, like I said, because there's one step left, and I just need to do it. I'm one of those people that gets to like towards the end of a project, and I'm just like hesitant to just put the icing on it. I'm like, no, and then it's like, bro, you're literally 98% there. Just cap it. And so we're going to cap it next week. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to be at next week as far as my steps. Chris, where are you going to be at?
Yeah, mine was a little. I don't know if I can continue mine because it's really contingent on that. Like I told you, that program at my job, and because of the nature of my role at my job, I'm always going to network with people, whether it's by design or not.
I got something for you though.
Yeah, give me something.
So, what could be an offshoot of that step? Because you were talking about basically having that conversation with one of the big boys at your company. And it's funny because I'm like, I kind of can see you getting to the point where you are one of the big boys. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like when you told the story about how that job was auto-based.
Auto-based, yep.
Basically taught you how to do presentations. They taught you how to go somewhere, set up a hotel, get your booking, all that stuff, go out there and sell something, and then turn around and set it up. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, that's all these other people do. All I do is watch my directors do that. Meeting with client. Either they're trying to sell something, give more information on something, or actually de-escalate something. Mm. And I'm like, bro, you learned that at 22.
Yeah, it was young.
Like, you learned one of those management skills early. Well, I won't say management, but one of the bigger skills early on. I'm like, okay, so you're already starting to push towards talking to one of the big boys. What's a step that you probably could do that makes you one of the big boys?
Oh, like you killing me. Oh man, that is a great question.
Because see, here's what thing I've learned that they do very well. They hit a roadblock, and the next thing in their thought is how to get over the roadblock. Mm-hmm. I usually hit a roadblock and I go, I'm gonna chill for a bit.
Yeah, that's how.
Sometimes I chill too long. So you hit a roadblock because they haven't started it yet. But
what can I do?
That shouldn't stop you, right? That's probably what they would have thought. Is like, they ain't gonna stop me.
Ooh, that's a good question. So this is sort of, because I told you this is taking me outside my comfort zone. So I don't want to say mentor. So basically, the management program that I was involved in my current job, we were with a cohort of people. They take a cohort 1 or 2 each year. So the next cohort is up. So I'm kind of been mentoring somebody who's in that same program. And if he's got questions for me to how to navigate being a new leader, things like that, I talk to him like once every 2 weeks. But my man's he already has a good foundation. He has his own podcast. He has a lot of leadership capabilities. He owned, I don't want to own, but he manages this group at our job for Black leaders, IT Black leaders. And like we meet, I think either monthly or quarterly, we meet, and he gets individuals, Black leaders within the organization, kind of present like their journey, a little bit about themselves, so they can pretty much motivate the next person who's Black, who looks like us, who has aspirations to get into leadership. I haven't volunteered to do one.
Ooh.
And this is why I said I'm really struggling on saying this because it's taking me outside my comfort zone. But I think that might be a good first step for me is to reach to him because he owns that network, and I talk to him all the time. I can be like, hey man, so when's the next one, and how can I be a part of it?
So I keep hearing I could.
I'm going to. Mike.
Yeah.
I'm going to. I'll do it.
I mean, it's huge for us to push each other.
Yeah.
Because somebody's pushing you. When no one's pushing you, that means you probably dead in the water in the ocean by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll take that as my next step. So this week I'll reach out to him and be like, hey man, when's the next one, the next series? I think his next one, he already has a pool of people. So I'm like, hey, how can I sign up to be a speaker on one of the, I'll do that.
There we go. Get that money, Christian.
Yeah.
What is tomorrow's next step going to be? Is it continuation? Is a continuation of something else?
Continuation from what I've been doing with the business, all my business projects.
Nice.
Staying consistent every day. Like I said, I've had I guess you could say, revelation recently that my issue when it comes to things outside of my job is consistency. Take the same stuff you're doing in your job and do it in your personal life. The consistency when it comes to say, because jobs you'll burn you out.
Oh, absolutely.
And by the time I'm done talking to all these customers, I get home, I'm like, I don't want to be consistent with nothing except for my marriage, obviously, my kids and stuff like that. But to getting up and like doing something on a computer and trying to push for something else, you're like, oh, I'll do that sometimes, or I'll do that this day, or you put stuff off. But it's like, okay, I'm consistent at my job. That's how I've gotten the success that I have. All of us. Yeah. You've gotten to where you're at because of consistency. You've gotten everybody. The consistency is the secret. But a lot of times we don't apply it in our own personal endeavors, and sometimes that is what God hides the next step behind. Is that consistency, that push, that getting through to that. I always look at just the stories in the Bible, for instance, like King David. A lot of people look at him, and it's like he didn't become king right away.
No,
he had spears thrown at his head.
He had to run.
He had to run for 19 years.
On the run.
And, he had to push, and he could have looked at that and be like, well, this can't be from God because this ain't easy. This is not an easy path to becoming king. And he was anointed king as a child. Or a teenager in his youth. So a lot of times that next step is hidden behind that thing that you're afraid to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, or just procrastinating on, or whatever the case may be. And we all have that. So, everybody knows I'm an artist. I do comic books and various other things that I'm pursuing as well. Well, I haven't been consistent with that.
Yeah.
And that's where it is. So now I'm starting to be every day. And again, I personally don't like to set goals because I think I learned just in previous sales careers that sometimes setting goals, you're just setting yourself up for failure. That unnecessary failure, like you don't always reach your goals, but as long as you're doing something every day, you're going to be further than where you were before.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So sometimes goals are just unattainable, but you'll reach it eventually. So I like to just, okay, what are some, I do checklists. What are some things that I can do on a daily basis that are eventually going to hit my goal? Even when it comes to working out, we all have a history of working out, staying healthy, different things of that nature. What got you to where you are now? You didn't see, like we talked about New Year's resolutions last time we talked. A lot of people quit because they don't see immediate results. It ain't gonna come from immediate results. It's gonna come from months and months and months and months and months and months of digging, working out, lifting, going through that pain to get to that goal. So do that same thing with what you're doing. If you, let's say for instance, you start January 1st, you do nothing, and then at the end of the year you expect something different. That's absurd.
Yeah.
Whereas you start January 1st, you do a little bit of something. Let's say it's a workout. Let's say you do a 15-minute workout every day. You think by the end of the year you ain't gonna have something? You're gonna have something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the same thing applies in your business. Do something every single day. Like for instance, let's say the comic books, or you're an author, you're writing a book, or anything you're doing. Stock market. You start now. At the end of the year, you're going to have something versus nothing.
Oh yeah.
That's a better way to look at it than to just procrastinate, which I've done for years. Is I'll do it later. Oh, I'll hit it next week. Oh, I'll do this. Blah, blah, blah. I'll draw a little bit. Oh, I'll get to that eventually. Now I feel like my success is going to be hidden behind that consistency.
Yeah.
So just keep applying that, and I know it's going to lead to something.
All right, Alexis. Tomorrow's next step. This is going to be a continuation, which I think we've established now. Like, what our last step is going to be continuation going forward. But is there anything additional that you're going to add to that?
Specifically, I have some proposals I got to write up, some productions that I got to finish, and just getting back to trying to find my new norm. Like I said, I got a new kid at the house. I'm trying to figure out when it's okay to work,
Right.
when it's okay not to work. I got to keep having continuous mindset shifts throughout the day. So just trying to get back to finding that balance with my wife and my family so I can be an effective, business owner, husband, and dad.
All right, everyone. So as we've, sat here and established and, talked about our beginnings as young adults and how we formed relationships, how we failed, until we eventually had successes, I think we all can, appreciate the self-reflection that we've kind of had today. As we bring this episode to a close, I'd like to remind everybody to keep taking those first steps. Remind us what you're doing in the comments. Anything else you want to leave, how we're doing so far on the podcast, things like that. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to be notified about future episodes. And as always, we thank you for tuning into our channel, and we see you at the next episode.